Welcome, everyone. This is your friend, the DN What If, here with another exciting fanfiction. Today, we're diving into the story of What If Deku's Dreams Revealed Class 2 as Darkest Secrets? If you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more fanfiction content just like this. Now, let's get started with the fanfic. In Class 1A's dormitory, Nami couldn't sleep at all in her dorm room. Something about it always felt a bit off. But this time, it felt a bit different. She felt a bit more out of her element as she tossed and turned in her bed. Her dreams weren't helping either as she dreamed about being in the ocean. She was training so hard just like always. She sometimes didn't know when to quit and take a break. But something about this dream felt off. Like she was somewhere else completely different. It felt like magic. Something about it felt like home, but she didn't want anything to do with it. Nami didn't like the way things were back home. The way things worked there and how easy it was for them back there. But here in Japan, it felt like she could work towards something important. Something that she really enjoyed. Being a hero. Something that she couldn't be back home. Her dreams kept making it feel like she was moving back and forth with the waves. It felt like she was in rough waters, but she kept trying to fight against it. She was always a pretty fast swimmer, but this seemed different. Then she felt something dragging her under the water. For a moment, she felt like she could breathe underwater. But then she noticed someone dragging her down. It was Himawari. Her eyes widened, shocked to see her here in the first place. Himawari made an impact on her for some reason as of recently. She somewhat enjoyed her company, but lately she had been in her dreams a bit more often. Himawari this time, however, seemed upset. Like she knew what was going on with her lately. Himawari tried to speak up, but she couldn't talk since she was underwater. Nami grabbed her and tried to swim up to the surface. But Himawari seemed stubborn and tried to get her to stay with her underwater. Like she wanted her to be in the water with her. But Nami didn't want to be here, knowing exactly where she was. Himawari would never understand her. Even if she couldn't hear her, Nami couldn't tell her the truth. Himawari, stop fighting this and let me help you. Nami cried out through the water. Bubbles came out of her mouth as Himawari tried to keep her under. Nami fought through it as she kept swimming up towards the surface. Himawari was stubborn, but Nami was stronger in the water. Even in her dreams, she knew how to get out of the ocean. Once she touched the surface, however, she suddenly felt herself sit upright in her bed. Nami felt like she needed to catch her breath, realizing that it was just another dream. She felt cold, but it didn't bother her. But then she remembered how warm Himawari felt when she was near her. It was refreshing. Nami couldn't help but feel something for her in that moment. But then she snapped out of it, realizing what was going on. She was falling for Himawari. This isn't good. In Class 2A's dormitory, Midoriya stirred in his sleep as he laid down on the couch. It had been a long and exhausting day of being stuck in that lab. Somehow he slept all throughout the day. The best thing ever happened to him and Yue. Intelli and Adam were gone. They were sent to boarding school in America. Midoriya could finally relax. But something about his dream was stopping from doing so. He was stuck in the vestige world. But something about it felt off, like he wasn't fully there. Something about it felt like he couldn't reach the vestiges, as if something was getting in the way of them. He could still use one for all, but something was making it difficult to communicate with them. He even had trouble talking to Kudo for some reason. Midoriya felt his vision was going in and out as the vestige world disappeared right in front of him. Bubbles came up in front of him, realizing that he was somewhere else. A place that he never wanted to see again. Mr. Intelli's laboratory. He was stuck in a container, feeling sluggish from the sedation. Even the liquid slowed him down, unable to break out of the container. He felt weaker as the sedation got through to him. He wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. Midoriya didn't know what to do, trying to get out of there by himself. He tried to activate his quirk, but it felt weaker for some reason. Something about it felt off, like it couldn't activate properly. He felt like one for all was being tampered with in the lab. Midoriya worried about this earlier, but he wished that Bakugo or someone might help him out of there. Kaken. Toshinori. Anyone. Midoriya cried out as he banged on the container. The moment he banged on the container, he noticed it cracking. Then he noticed the liquid draining out of the container. Only something felt off as the liquid drained right out of it. He felt himself getting pulled down into the drain as if something was pulling him away from the container. He tried to get away from it, but there was nowhere to go. Before he knew it, he was falling. Midoriya was suddenly transported somewhere else entirely. But something felt off as if he were somehow in a different dream. Something about it as he looked around looked familiar. It had a comforting atmosphere when he entered this weird dream. But he couldn't think about it as he fell down and noticed where he was landing. His heart was racing as he locked onto an ocean. Nothing but ocean underneath him. What? Midoriya cried out. He couldn't stop his fall or do anything to get away from it. There was no land or anything nearby. Just ocean and waves. Soon enough, he landed in the water. He felt so much more aware of what was going on as the waves pushed and pulled him all around the ocean. He felt like he might drown from the landing itself. He tried to swim up, but didn't know which way was up. Soon enough, he found it and tried to find a place to swim towards. There was nothing but ocean. Midoriya felt like he was stuck in the ocean as the waves got stronger. He tried to swim through them, but it was a lot stronger than he expected. In the corner of his eye, he spotted someone in the ocean. It looked like Himawari's friend, Nami. Midoriya hadn't seen her in a long time. He knew that her quirk was water-based, but she looked like she was struggling to get out of there. Then he noticed her going under like something pulled her. Midoriya's eyes widened and dove under the water to go after her. He swam for it, but the ocean was still strong and rough even underwater. What he didn't expect was to see Himawari dragging her underneath it. Himawari, Midoriya said underwater. Midoriya swam for it, but Nami looked like she was trying to help Himawari. Midoriya tried to help them by activating One for All, but it wasn't working properly. Nami looked like she wanted to help her, but Himawari wasn't cooperating. Midoriya noticed that Nami looked different somehow. Like something about her features were more defined underwater. Midoriya even noticed that the ocean felt somewhat familiar. Like magic. Midoriya wanted to help them, but then his vision got all blurry again as One for All acted up. He swam for it, but Nami kept swimming up to the surface. He needed to help Himawari and Nami somehow. Even if his quirk was acting up, he had to help them. He could see the vestige world coming through to him, but he kept swimming. Tears came up, knowing that Himawari needed help. He reached out to her, but couldn't see her. Himawari. Before he knew it, One for All jolted him awake. Midoriya laid down on the couch with his eyes wide open. For a moment, it was quiet. He laid there, unable to move. He didn't even dare to get up as he laid there, realizing that it was all a dream. Everything that just happened was just a dream. It felt so real and vivid that he had a hard time wrapping his mind around it. He felt like he was underwater for a good while there. Something about it was a lot to handle, as if it somehow made him even more tired. He felt like he didn't even sleep as he laid there. As he relaxed on the couch, Midoriya realized that he was somehow damp. Like he was in the ocean recently. He even smelled like salt water. Midoriya's eyes widened, confused as to how this could have happened. He hoped that he wasn't sleepwalking again and somehow found himself in the ocean and came back. But that alone seemed ridiculous. Midoriya sat up, staring at his hands. He could feel the salt on his hands, which confused him even more. But he didn't feel that nauseous feeling from the weird liquid. Just salt water. As if it were a different kind of dream. Something about it felt familiar. No, not familiar. More like something like he wouldn't normally experience in UA. Before he could put two and two together, the elevator door opened. Uraraka, Ida, Yaoyorozu and Todoroki got up from a good night's sleep. Uraraka noticed him up early and came over to see him with a smile on her face. "Good morning, Izuku," Uraraka said to him. "Did you get a good night's?" She stopped mid-sentence, confused as to what she was seeing. Midoriya was still confused as well as he sat there. "Izuku, why are you soaking wet?" Uraraka asked him. "Did you take a shower or something?" Ida, Todoroki and Yaoyorozu all noticed how soaked he was, which confused them a lot. Midoriya didn't understand it either, which made him unable to comprehend what happened. I don't know." Midoriya said to them honestly. I woke up like this." Uraraka noticed that smell on him, and she looked confused as she leaned into him. Izuku, you smell like salt water? Uraraka pointed out. Did you sleepwalk all the way to the beach or something? Todoroki pointed out. Don't be ridiculous, Shudo. He's been here the whole time, Yaoyorozu said back. Midoriya was even more confused as he stood up, dripping salt water everywhere. How do you explain this then? Midoriya pointed out. It had to be that dream I had. Although I don't see how a dream can cause this to happen. Dream? They all said in unison. What dream? Uraraka asked him. Before he could explain fully, Ashido, Kaminari, Shiro, Bakugo and Kirishima all came down together. They were all awake and ready for the day, but then saw Midoriya. He was soaking wet and was dripping water all over the common room. Midoriya? Why are you soaking wet? Ashido pointed out. Midoriya looked at himself up and down, still not understanding any of this. He felt so embarrassed, and even Bakugo was staring at him with confused eyes. His dreams were causing him to feel insecure about this whole thing, especially with Bakugo around. Ever since the laboratory incident, Midoriya has been feeling a bit weird around Bakugo lately. Especially with One for All. For some reason, One for All has been feeling slightly different around him. Like his quirk is being blocked and can't reach out to Bakugo. As if their connection to One for All is damaged or tampered with. Midoriya didn't want him to worry, knowing that he could fix it himself. For now, he had to deal with this weird morning. Dude, did you go jump in a lake or something? Kaminari pointed out. There are no lakes around you, Kaminari, Shiro said back. It smells like salt water in here, Ashido pointed out. Did you go to the beach without us? Midoriya was still trying to process this weird dream, so this just making him feel even weirder about the whole thing. No, Ashido. How would I even get to the beach and come back so quickly without anyone knowing? Midoriya pointed out. They all stared at each other with confused faces. Then, how are you soaking wet and smell like salt water? Kirishima asked him, unless magic were involved or something. Did you, I don't know, cast a weird spell or something? Midoriya's eyes widened, and Uraraka and Ida felt the same way. Even Todoroki and Yaoyorozu were thrown off by this. Before they could even process this, Yaoyorozu got a phone call from her shoulder bag. She pulled it out, and it seemed important. Midoriya wondered what it was about as she told Todoroki that she'd be right back. Soon as she left, Midoriya let out a sigh. Oh, I should get this sorted out, Midoriya said to them. But Izuku, what if it's... Ida trailed off, clearly worried about something. Midoriya knew exactly what he was referring to and tried not to think about it. He had been through enough and couldn't worry about every single dream he had. It might be nothing, trying to convince himself to leave it alone. He needed to move on from it and hope for the best. Tenya, please let it go, Midoriya said to him. I can't deal with this right now. Midoriya noticed him looking worried for him, but brushed it off. He felt bad for him, but soon left to get dressed. Midoriya soon put on his school uniform, feeling tired somehow. He still felt a bit exhausted and wished that he could take some time off. That laboratory incident really took a toll on him for such a short amount of time. To him, it felt like he was in there for days. Maybe even a week. Midoriya felt like he could still feel that swaying feeling from being in the container. Or maybe it was the ocean from his dream. Either way, he had to move on from it and get dressed. He even dried himself off in his hair with a towel nearby. It took a while, but he did it rather quickly. Once he was ready, he grabbed his things and put them in his backpack. Then he noticed his phone as it went off for a moment. Midoriya looked at it to see Himawari texting him. Himawari, hey Izuku. I can't wait for our trip. I've been wanting to do something like this with you for so long. Smiley face. Midoriya was so confused all morning about his dream. And now this. He had no idea what she was talking about. Maybe Mr. Aizawa planned something without telling him or anyone else. Whatever it was, he worried about One for All acting up. He didn't tell anyone about it acting this way. It felt like it was doing fine now, but he could tell that it felt a bit off. Like the energy wasn't recharging properly or something. He tried to shake it off, knowing that he could just meditate and fix it easily. He had to do this himself for once. He liked having friends around to help him, but he had to figure this out himself. Midoriya soon put his phone away and headed downstairs. He had a feeling that this was going to be a long week. In Class 2A's dormitory, once Midoriya exited the elevator, he noticed Mr. Aizawa, All Might, Tensei, Kitsune and even his mom up to face them this morning. Midoriya was confused as to where Melissa was. She must have been settled down somewhere or with Principal Nizu. He hoped that Melissa could finally show UA what she's capable of soon. They were finally all up and ready for the morning. Even Toga was here with a confused look on her face. But Midoriya could tell that something was different. What's going on? Midoriya asked them, Mom? Why you here? Shouldn't you be at work? Things are going to be different for a good while, Mr. Aizawa told them. It's summer, which means that you're all going to need to step it up. Midoriya felt that as his shoulders dropped. He wanted to be happy about that, of course, but he felt so tired from the laboratory incident. Something about this made him feel exhausted already. He wished that he could take a vacation or something. Midoriya then noticed Mr. Aizawa looking at him like he had a plan in mind. For a moment, Midoriya could have sworn that he was worried about him. Which means that we're going to take a trip out of UA for a while, Mr. Aizawa told them with a smile, for a week to be precise. A trip? Class 2A cried out in unison. Don't worry. I've already told all of your parents about this trip, Mr. Aizawa told them. Class 2A and B, Class 1A and B will be taking a trip all together for a while. Principal Nizu thought that it would be a great way to start over when you all get back from the trip. He thought that you all need some time away from UA itself. Class 2A were all shocked to hear this. Midoriya never expected this to happen, especially now. Then he realized the timing of it all, wondering if this had anything to do with him and what happened. This has nothing to do with what happened, right? Midoriya asked him. Class 2A felt that and looked at Mr. Aizawa for answers. He didn't hesitate as he stared at them. I won't lie. It definitely has something to do with it, but Principal Nizu sees this as a great opportunity to learn how to be away from familiar surroundings. As a hero, you need to learn to adapt to unfamiliar places, Mr. Aizawa said to them. Some of them ummed, realizing what this meant. So, this isn't a vacation after all. Ishido said to him. I wanted to finally take a break. Kaminari said back. Mr. Aizawa. Maybe they do deserve a bit of a break, Ms. Midoriya said to him. After all, they have been working really hard lately. Besides, the beach is a perfect place to do so. Midoriya could have sworn that he heard wrong the moment his mom said those words. But then Ishido and a few others freaked out by this. The beach? Ishido and the others cried out in unison. We're going to the beach? Kaminari cried out. Midoriya stood there, shocked that this was even happening to him. He tried to convince himself that it was just a coincidence. But something about it did feel weird hearing them talk about the beach right after having a dream about it. Even Uraraka noticed him looking a bit thrown off by this. Class 2A cheered for a moment, and Mr. Aizawa seemed to be already regretting this decision. B, but what about Melissa? What about UA? Midoriya asked them, isn't this kind of all happening way too fast? Class 2A understood where he was coming from. He did literally just get taken away by the police and SWAT unit not that long ago. His dad even got involved and made things even more complicated. No one knew what to say to him about this mess. Midoriya noticed All Might trying to help him out by stepping up for a moment. Mr. Aizawa has agreed that you can have moments to yourself and relax from time to time. But you still need to hero train when told to do so, All Might told them. Think of it as away from the usual classrooms and hallways. Besides, Melissa is hard at work with Hatsum. She promised to stay and make sure she's working hard to improve some things at UA. Midoriya felt better, knowing that Melissa was staying and helping out UA in her own way. They were all so excited to get ready, but then Yaoyorozu came in as she hung up on someone. Midoriya noticed her eyes looking bright as she eyed them all. I heard what's going on, and my parents decided to help us out by letting us stay in their vacation home. They heard about the trip and wanted to make things up for the last time they were here. Yaoyorozu exclaimed to them, if that's all right with Mr. Aizawa, of course. Class 2A all looked at him with wide and sparkly eyes, excited to hear this. Mr. Aizawa let out a sigh as he looked at all of them and then Yaoyorozu. "Well, I guess it's better than paying for a bunch of hotel rooms," Mr. Aizawa told them, "and you'd be right by the beach, so why not? Is there enough room for everyone, Yaoyorozu?" "There's enough room for all of us, including Class 2B, Yaoyorozu told them. "How big is your beach house?" Class 2A cried out in unison. Mr. Aizawa thought about it, but soon accepted it. "I'm sure Vlad King will be fine with this as well," Mr. Aizawa said back. Class 2A were all cheering and excited for the trip already. All of them except for Midoriya. He felt a bit of a sick feeling because of his dream. Something about his dream felt so real, so he wasn't exactly thrilled to be going on this trip. Then he noticed his mom coming over to check on him. She looked worried about him as if she could understand him somehow. "Izuku, are you okay?" Ms. Midoriya asked him. Midoriya felt a bit of a sick feeling in his stomach, but his mom helped him feel better. He appreciated her coming over to check on him. Something about her being here helped him relax. "Why, I'm okay," Midoriya said to her. She smiled at him, but was clearly worried about him. Midoriya heard them all getting excited for the trip as they talked things through. "Wait, which beach are we talking about here?" Ashido asked them. "Is it nearby or is it far away? I need to know so I can pack the best outfits." "Yeah. Where are we going exactly?" Hagakure asked them. "Oh, my beach house hasn't been used in a long time because of trash being all over the beach area, but my parents were finally able to use it again 2 years ago," Yaoyorozu said to them. Midoriya felt that and realized which beach she was talking about. "Wait, Takoba Municipal Beach Park? You mean the beach that Midoriya cleaned up 2 years ago?" Kaminari pointed out. Yaoyorozu thought about it as everyone eyed Midoriya for a moment. He felt a bit embarrassed, but soon Yaoyorozu realized that they were right. "Yeah, that's the beach. So, have more than one beach house in Japan," Yaoyorozu said to them, "but it is right on Takoba Municipal Beach Park. We don't usually go there because of it being so dirty and covered in trash. But I guess Midoriya cleaning up finally got the beach house back in use." Midoriya felt that as his face blushed from embarrassment. But something about it felt good to know that he did that for a beach. Something that used to be so beautiful is now back in use. They could actually use it and have a good time together. Because he cleaned it up 2 years ago. "That's still so mind-blowing that you did that all by yourself," Kirishima said to him. "Yeah. It's impressive that you managed to do that all within 10 months? Ribbit?" Azui pointed out. Midoriya felt so much pride for a moment, happy that he did this for his friends and classmates. "Why, 10 months. Right before the entrance exam to be exact," Midoriya told them. "It was intense to say the least." All of them looked at him like they still couldn't wrap their heads around him cleaning up the whole beach by himself. Even Bakugo found it pretty crazy for him to do that. "Well, now we can check out where you hero trained with All Might," Ashido pointed out. "Yeah. You've got to tell us all of the details," Kirishima said with a sharp smile. Midoriya felt a little nervous before, but he soon realized that this was a great opportunity for all of them. Something about it made him feel much better that he forgot about his dream. They were genuinely excited to hear about his hero training with All Might. Something that was a secret for so long. Midoriya didn't mind them knowing about it since it helped them be motivated to be better heroes. It made him realize that things were better. "Alright, get ready because we're leaving in about an hour," Mr. Aizawa told them. "Yaoyorozu, you're gonna have to give me the address so we know where to go from here." "Of course," Yaoyorozu said back as she helped him out. Midoriya soon made his way to his dorm room, realizing why Himawari was so excited. She was going on this trip with him along with Class 2B, Class 1A and B as well. Then he remembered that Nami was in Class 1A. He hesitated to open his dorm room door for a moment, remembering his dream. He tried to convince himself that it was a coincidence as he forced himself through the door. Before he could regret it, he packed his things into his backpack. They didn't need a bunch of notebooks like their usual classes, but he made sure to bring a couple of them just in case. His backpack was mostly clothes, toothbrush, hairbrush, shampoo and conditioner, his phone charger, and even a couple of bathing suits. He then realized that he hadn't watered his plants from the garden that him and Yayarosa built in a long time. Midoriya then noticed that they needed to be replaced. They were dried up from it being a lot warmer outside on his balcony. Midoriya needed a reminder to clean it up when he came back from the trip. For now, he had to leave it alone. He made sure that he had everything he needed. Then he eyed the notebook with his notes on the one-for-all holders. Something about it did seem important for the trip. If he was going to be away from UA for a while, then he might need it. Midoriya soon grabbed it, knowing that one-for-all was acting up. Maybe he could meditate and figure this out along the way. Soon enough, he was ready for the trip as he grabbed his phone. Then he realized that he was still wearing his school uniform. He couldn't help but laugh as he put on a casual, beach outfit. He even grabbed some sunscreen and put it in his backpack. He even put some sunglasses around his shirt collar just in case. He even grabbed a hoodie just in case it got cold outside. He even reminded himself to grab some flip-flops instead of shoes. But he grabbed some anyway just in case they needed them for hero training. He then eyed his hero costume. It was damaged and torn from the laboratory incident. He hesitated to bring it with him and soon grabbed his gym uniform instead. He couldn't hero train in that and soon shoved it into his backpack. It was pretty much all full and stuffed with his things as he grabbed his red sneakers for hero training. Soon enough, he left his dorm room. He looked back at it, knowing that he might be gone for a while. Midoriya hoped that when he came back, things will be better. He soon left, happy to get away for a while. He soon took out his phone from his pocket to text Himawari in the elevator. Himawari, just heard about the trip. I can't wait either. I'll see you there, smiley face. Midoriya couldn't help but smile, happy to see Himawari joining him. He could hero train with her and possibly show her around the beach. Once the elevator opened, Midoriya realized that he was one of the first ones downstairs. Ida was already ready along with Yayarozu and Todoroki. Even Uraraka was ready, looking like she had less things than any other girl might have for this trip. That was fast, Uraraka said to him with a smile. You must be excited for this trip after all. Midoriya couldn't help but smile, happy to see her coming with him. Something about going to the beach with her made things feel even better. He had never been out like this with her before. At least not on a trip to a place like the beach. Meiho no Kuni didn't count since she was kind of forced into it. This was something special to him, and now he could finally share it with her. Yeah. I am, Midoriya said back. He held her hand, and she squeezed it back for comfort. Something about her being nearby felt like things were more relaxing than before. She was even wearing a cute, sky blue shirt and white shorts for the trip. Midoriya noticed her already wearing a bathing suit underneath, which made him look away for a moment. He then realized that she was going to wear a bathing suit. Not just any bathing suit in front of him, but a bikini. His face turned red, not wanting to be disrespectful towards her. Midoriya cared about her too much to look at her in that way. Izuku? Uraraka asked him. Midoriya tried to force himself to look at her, but his face turned red either way. She was confused as to why he was acting like this. Before she could even ask what was wrong, Ashido, Kaminari, Shiro, Kirishima and even Bakugo came down ready to go. They were all decked out with beach attire, sunglasses, flip-flops and everything. Ashido even wore a hat with sunglasses that showed off her horns. She seemed like she was the most excited as she carried a giant suitcase, ready to go. I'm all set. Ashido exclaimed to them, this is gonna be so much fun. They all looked at her suitcase, realizing that they were staying for a week. Ashido, what do you have in there exactly? Uraraka asked her. That's a surprise for later, Ashido pointed out as she put her finger to her lips. Midoriya didn't even want to know what she had planned for the trip. She was always up to something, especially with sleepovers. He couldn't imagine what she had planned for a beach trip, especially in Yayarozu's beach house. Eventually, everyone was downstairs with everything ready. But Midoriya then noticed someone was missing. Toga wasn't with them. Midoriya felt bad, but didn't know how things would turn out if she showed up with them. He wished that she could go with them since she had never done this before. Maybe things would be better if they showed Class 2B that things were okay with her around. Being outside of you might make things easier to digest. Toga deserved a chance to be one of them. Then he noticed Mr. Aizawa and All Might nearby. Even his mom was there as Kitsune and Tensei handled things. It looked like Mr. Aizawa, All Might and Ms. Midoriya were going with them. Even Kitsune seemed ready to leave since she was their student counselor. Tensei, however, looked like he was ready to look after things in UA. Midoriya walked over to Mr. Aizawa, and he noticed the look in his eyes right away. I know that look really well. What do you want, Midoriya? This better be quick. We need to leave soon, Mr. Aizawa told him. Midoriya understood, but was still nervous to ask him. Why does Himiko have to stay exactly? She's been doing so well lately in UA, isn't it a good time to finally let Class 2B know about her? Midoriya asked him. Once he said that out loud, however, he realized how stupid this was. Monoma was a possible UA traitor, and Mr. Aizawa and All Might didn't even know about it. He kind of wished that he could take it back as Mr. Aizawa thought about it. Look, Midoriya. I know that things are a bit complicated enough with you. Do you really think that throwing Toga into Class 2A and B is going to help anyone? I know things are better with Class 2B, but I don't know if they can handle her quite yet, Mr. Aizawa pointed out. When is it the right time then? Midoriya asked him without realizing it. If you keep delaying it, things will be even more complicated. Himiko needs to let others know that she's one of us now. I know she's not an official student yet, but she's working really hard. Doesn't she deserve a chance to show them that she can change? Midoriya couldn't believe what he was saying to Mr. Aizawa. Monoma was a possible UA traitor. He couldn't let him see Toga. Then again, maybe this would help things come out. Midoriya instantly regretted saying all of that to Mr. Aizawa, realizing how risky this was. I'm sorry. Maybe we should just let it go for. Alright. Toga can come, Mr. Aizawa told him. Midoriya's head whipped up, realizing what just happened. Even All Might was surprised to hear him say this out loud. Ms. Midoriya seemed happy for her, however. Toga hasn't broken any rules. She stayed within the campus and never broke curfew. Toga's schoolwork and private hero training has been going really well, Mr. Aizawa explained to him. If anything, she's improved more than even I expected. You're right. We can't keep delaying this any longer. Toga can come so long as she sticks with our class. Midoriya couldn't believe what he was hearing. Mr. Aizawa soon walked away from him, telling him that he was going to tell Toga the news. He felt his heart racing, realizing that he messed up. Toga was ready, but Class 2B definitely wasn't. Not with Monoma around. He didn't know what was going on with him lately. But he didn't trust him. Ms. Midoriya noticed him looking a bit distraught for a moment as everyone got ready to leave. Are you okay, Izuku? Ms. Midoriya asked him. Is there anything that I can do to help? My apartment is near UA if we need to stop there real quick. Midoriya had actually forgotten to check out her apartment recently. He felt bad for forgetting about it, realizing that it might be a good idea to take up her offer. Then again, he didn't know what was needed in the apartment. But something told him that it might make his mom's day feel better. That was enough for him. Sure, Mom. I'm sure Mr. Aizawa wouldn't mind, Midoriya told her. After a good few minutes of waiting, Ashido and the others were starting to get a bit antsy. Where's Mr. Aizawa? He's the one in charge here, Ashido pointed out. Mr. Aizawa never runs late, Ida told them. Before they knew it, Mr. Aizawa came back out with someone tagging along with him. Hey! It was Toga. And she was ready for the beach trip. In Class 2A's dormitory. Class 2A were all staring at Toga with wide eyes in shock. Toga was wearing full-on beach attire, which was definitely a sight to see. Midoriya noticed this and felt like he shouldn't have said anything at all. They all looked at Toga like she had done something wrong. Mr. Aizawa gave them glares that made them stiffen up. Toga's coming with us, Mr. Aizawa said to them. She's proven to us that she can finally be a part of UA, but we need to see how she does around other classes first. Midoriya actually gave me this idea. To see how she does with Class 2B. It can give her a chance to get to know your classmates better. See if she can handle being around others before being a part of UA fully. They all turned to see Midoriya shrinking behind them with a red face. He instantly regretted it the moment their eyes spotted him. Even Bakugo's eyes looked set off, which was rare as of lately. They didn't want to say anything in front of Toga, but they looked shocked that he even suggested this. They knew about Monoma being a possible UA traitor, and Midoriya knew that they were upset about that specifically. They couldn't blow their cover about knowing what was going on. But they couldn't say anything to Mr. Aizawa. Not when they never outright told him what was going on. It just never came up in conversation with him before. Midoriya? Can we talk to you for a moment? Ida said under his breath. Midoriya felt that as he flinched from their glares. Before he could even respond, Ida and most of them somehow got him to follow them into the kitchen and away from Toga. Some of the girls stayed behind to talk to Toga so it didn't seem weird or out of place. Midoriya could tell that they weren't happy about this situation. Midoriya? What were you thinking? Asking for Toga to come with us on this trip? Todoroki asked him. I wasn't thinking. Midoriya said to them, it just slipped out for a moment. I forgot about Monoma, but tried to backtrack. Mr. Aizawa then took my offer before I could even say anything else. Do you realize how risky this is? Ida told them. Toga and Monoma in the same room? If he's really a spy for the League of Villains, then he's gonna make things even more complicated. Midoriya felt that, knowing how stupid this was. You really messed up this time, Izuku, Bakugo said back with a growl. Toga's not someone to be trusted, but Monoma. We might as well kiss this vacation goodbye before we even get on the DMN bus. Midoriya realized that Bakugo was actually looking forward to this trip. And he messed it up right away without realizing it. Maybe it won't be so bad, Midoriya told them. Maybe Himiko will get along with them right away. Class 2B might understand if we just explain things. Besides Monoma, is there really anyone that we need to worry about? They all thought about it, and Midoriya realized that he was right. Monoma was the only one suspicious. Maybe you're right, Siro said to him. I mean, Monoma is the only one that acts the way he does. Everyone in Class 2B are pretty much okay with us. Midoriya might be right on this one. Having Class 2B on our side will help Toga settle down into UA faster. She has been doing really well ever since she stayed here. She hasn't even broken any rules along the way, Ida told them. We can keep an eye on Monoma. You know, just in case, Kirishima said to them. Not you too, Eijiro, Bakugo said to him. Toga's not to be trusted. All because she's sticking to the rules. Doesn't mean she's changed. Having her and Monoma in the same room is just going to stir up drama we don't need right now. You shouldn't have said anything to begin with, Izuku. You just had to butt in at the worst possible time, didn't you? Bakugo walked away, clearly upset. Midoriya felt that, noticing Bakugo walking away from him. Something about that really bothered him more than usual. Bakugo of all people to walk away from him felt weird for a moment. Ever since the laboratory incident, he's been feeling an aching feeling in his chest when it comes to Bakugo leaving him behind. He felt like he needed him now more than ever. Now he just caused him and Bakugo to split up like this. Midoriya hoped that this didn't mean anything as the others stood there to face him. Midoriya, I don't exactly agree with this plan of yours, but we're going to have to put up with it for now, Ojiro said to him. Hopefully things work out with Toga around, Ida said to him, but I understand where you're coming from. You just want things to work out with UA. Especially with how things are going lately. Midoriya felt that as his shoulders slumped from remembering how things were recently. But then he felt Ida place his hand on his shoulder for support. His smile got through to him, feeling much better already. But we're for you, Ida said to him. We want to make sure this trip is somewhat normal for the most part. Midoriya felt that and couldn't help but chuckle a little. I guess that's good enough for me, Midoriya said to him. They soon walked back over to Toga and Mr. Aizawa along with the girls talking to her. Ashido seemed mostly excited to have her around. Uraraka was too, but also seemed hesitant with a worried face. Midoriya understood since they have never done this before. He hoped that Class 2B would understand why she was here in the first place soon enough. All right, class. Let's head out. The bus should have arrived a while ago, Mr. Aizawa told them. They all got their things as Midoriya headed out of the dormitory. He was nervous as Toga walked alongside the girls. He was at least hoping that they could get to the bus with no problems with her around. He was so glad that Principal Nizu never made a deal with Mr. Intelli about that security plan. Once they exited the dormitory, they noticed how quiet it was. As they kept walking, Midoriya noticed one of the buses were gone. He noticed that Class 2B had already left before them. Something about that made him feel a bit more relieved. He didn't want drama the moment they stepped outside. But Class 1A and B still hadn't left yet. Soon enough as they walked towards the buses, Class 1B came walking towards them. Midoriya then noticed Himawari walking towards them with wide eyes. She couldn't help but wave at Midoriya as she ran away from her class for a moment. Her teacher was used to this and let her see her older brother. "Hey Izuku, isn't this exciting?" Himawari asked him with a wide smile. "We can go to the beach together? I don't think we've ever done that before ever." Midoriya thought about it, realizing that she was right. "I guess not," Midoriya said back. "I can't believe we've never gone to the beach together." "Me neither," Himawari said back with a smile. "I brought my bathing suits and even brought my updated hero costume. I can't wait to show you." Midoriya felt that, remembering that his hero costume was in pieces. Something about that made him feel a bit upset. His hero costume was important to him, but he couldn't show that to Himawari. He tried to shake it off subtly and smiled at her. "I can't wait," Midoriya said back. Then he remembered that Nami and Himawari were friends. Even if they were in different classes, she still enjoyed her company. That dream came up again, remembering Himawari being dragged under the water. Seeing her so happy made him feel conflicted about what was going on. Midoriya looked up at Class 1A nearby, not seeing Nami in the background. "Where's your friend?" "Nami?" Midoriya asked her nonchalantly. Himawari looked upset for a moment, which worried Midoriya. "She couldn't come on our trip. Some kind of family emergency or something, I guess," Himawari told him. Midoriya for some reason felt relieved the moment she told him that. Something about her felt different, but in a way that seemed somewhat familiar. He knew that Chihiro trained a long time ago in the ocean while he cleaned the beach. But it was definitely something else that was bothering him. Something about her seemed to have a different kind of energy. Midoriya had to shake it off for now as he faced Himawari. "I hope that her family member is okay. Whatever's going on," Midoriya said to her, "just tell her that I hope things are okay if you ever call her." Himawari smiled but was clearly still upset about it. Midoriya then noticed her tucking her green hair behind her ear in a way that stuck out. Something about her face seemed a bit flushed as she thought about Nami. Midoriya never noticed this recently, but maybe she acted like this around her during the sports festival. He couldn't remember, but it seemed rather new. "Oh, I better go now. My class is waiting. I'll see you later, Izuku," Himawari told them. Midoriya soon waved her off, and Himawari joined her class. She seemed really upset about Nami not being there for their trip. He felt bad for her considering she clearly liked Nami as a friend. He didn't know her well, but something about her did seem at least less loud and outgoing. Maybe Himawari needed someone like her around. But something about her still stuck out to him. He remembered how intense her eyes were when he first met her. How drawn in he was and how mesmerizing they were. Just like the ocean itself. "Izuku," Uraraka said to him, snapping him out of it. "Huh," Midoriya said back. Some of them noticed him staring at Himawari and her classmates, and he didn't know where this was going. All he could think about was Nami and how things were going with Himawari. "Why were you asking about Nami?" Yaoyorozu asked him. "Isn't she in Class 1A, not Class 1B? Midoriya thought about it, realizing that she won't be coming to the beach with them. Something about that felt off-putting for some reason. "Yeah, but she's friends with Himawari," Midoriya said to them. "I just don't know anything about her is all. And Himawari is around her more than me. Yes, I'm just worried about her is all." Some of his friends were confused as to why he thought this way. Even Uraraka was confused for a moment. "Why are you worried about Himawari and Nami being friends?" Uraraka asked him. "It's not Nami is mean towards her or anything. She seems nice. Then again, we haven't seen her since the sports festival." Midoriya didn't like that he's never even talked to her properly. He knew nothing about her besides how hardworking she is. She even hero trained on Takoba Municipal Beach Park when he didn't realize it. She found him inspiring and worked just as hard as him. Midoriya felt a bit red around his cheeks, but still felt a bit suspicious of her. His dreams came up, hoping that it meant nothing. Himawari being the one pulling Nami underwater stuck out to him for some reason. He hoped that it was nothing more than a weird dream. Izuku? What's going on with you? Ashido pointed out, snapping him out of it. This is supposed to a fun trip, and you're already worried about your sister. She's right, Azui pointed out. You should lighten up. Himawari would want you to enjoy this, Ribbit. Midoriya felt that, knowing that Azui was right. He had to SCK it up and enjoy this. He had never done this before with his classmates. Midoriya smiled, feeling grateful to have his friends by his side. He felt that weird sensation from One for All for a moment, but tried to ignore it. He wouldn't let One for All ruin this trip either. You're right. Midoriya said to them with a smile. This is a special trip, and I shouldn't be worried about Himawari right now. She can handle things. That's the spirit, Kaminari said to him. Just worry about Monoma for now. That earned him a jab in the ribs from Jairu as they made their way onto the bus. Midoriya noticed Jairu trying to stop him saying anything stupid. She seemed a bit more quiet towards Kaminari or annoyed with him. For some reason, Jairu and Kaminari have been less of a couple, and it stuck out even more just now. Especially when Jairu smiled at Midoriya for his behavior. Sorry about him, Jairu said to him. You know how he is. Midoriya noticed how different she seemed around Kaminari. Like she was trying to put up a front or something. He hoped that things were okay between them. For now, they finally got their things put away onto the bus and headed inside. Midoriya sat with Uraraka and Ida as All Might and Ms. Midoriya sat with them nearby. Once everyone was settled down, Mr. Aizawa came walking into the bus. Before he could say anything, Ms. Midoriya interrupted him. Midoriya knew what this was about, and Mr. Aizawa seemed somewhat annoyed. But he put up a front and soon let out a sigh. You owe me for this one, Inko, Mr. Aizawa said to her. Of course, Ms. Midoriya said back with a smile. We're going to stop by Inko's apartment. She needs some things for the trip. If any of you need to run in to use the restroom, do so quickly, Mr. Aizawa told them. If not, stay on the bus. Midoriya felt better, knowing that he could finally see her apartment. Know their apartment. It felt weird to be owning a different apartment space. He was so used to the other one that he couldn't imagine living anywhere else. We're gonna see your new apartment? Uraraka pointed out with a smile. Midoriya smiled at her as everyone seemed somewhat interested in his place. He didn't even know what his room looked like. Something about did feel exciting since it was near UA, which made him realize that it was probably bigger and more expensive. He looked at his mom, hoping that the apartment wasn't too much for her to pay for. Is this apartment, expensive? Midoriya asked her. She waved it off like it was no big deal. Something about seemed like she was holding back excitement for some reason. Don't worry about it, Izuku. Let me handle the bills while you work on hero training, Ms. Midoriya told him. Besides, I might have earned a bit of extra money recently. Maybe even a bonus. Midoriya's eyes widened, realizing what this meant to them. He then looked at Mr. Aizawa, who was clearly somewhat responsible for this bonus. Even his classmates and friends were shocked to hear this. Does that mean you're rich? Ashido asked them with wide eyes. No. Ms. Midoriya said back with a wave. Well, we're definitely earning a lot more than I expected, but it's not that big of a deal. Midoriya noticed the bus pulling up towards an apartment nearby. Him and his classmates soon pressed up against the windows of the bus to look outside. His eyes widened to see which apartment they lived in. It was huge and was pretty much next to UA. Only a couple of blocks away to be exact. Midoriya couldn't believe that they lived here. UA somehow earned her enough money to live in this apartment. You live here? Midoriya cried out. We live here, Ms. Midoriya said back with a smile. Come on. Does anyone want to check out the apartment? Most of them stood up, and Mr. Aizawa glared at them. Only to use the restroom, Mr. Aizawa told them with glare. Oh come on Mr. Aizawa, Ashido told him. We need to see Midoriya's new apartment. This is a big deal. Yeah. It'll only take a few minutes, Kirishima said to him. Mr. Aizawa soon let out a sigh, and they soon ran out of the bus. Yaoyorozu and Midoriya tried to keep them in line as Ms. Midoriya headed into the apartment complex. The person at the counter was shocked to see this many people coming in. Ms. Midoriya explained things rather easily, and they were soon allowed inside. Ms. Midoriya grabbed her mail from the counter and soon they went up to her apartment. The elevator was big enough for all of them to go together, which shocked Midoriya. The place was nice and looked expensive. Midoriya wasn't expecting it to look so nice like this. He felt like he was in a hotel that you stay in for a few days. Soon enough, they exited the elevator and followed Ms. Midoriya. They were blown away with how nice the apartment complex was as they walked down the hallways. Even Yaoyorozu was impressed since she was used to this kind of stuff. Wow, Ms. Midoriya. You picked a great apartment complex, Yaoyorozu said to her. It's very clean and well put together. If we're going to stay in a new apartment, I thought I might as well finally get a place that's well deserving for a hero in training, Ms. Midoriya told him. Besides, I've always wanted to live in a place closer to UA for Izuku. I just never got around to it until recently. Midoriya felt that as his face warmed up from embarrassment. Soon enough, Ms. Midoriya stopped by a door as she tried to unlock it. It was their apartment. In Midoriya's new apartment. Midoriya was a little nervous to see the place. He didn't know what to expect. Once she opened the door, everyone got excited to see their place. Ms. Midoriya went inside as she took off her shoes. Please, make yourself at home, but remember we're not staying for a long time, Ms. Midoriya said to them. Ashido pushed herself through along with some others as they entered. Midoriya soon entered the apartment, hearing some of his friends gasping at how nice it was. His eyes widened to see a wide-open apartment that was spacious and clean. Midoriya was shocked to see how big it was as it went from the kitchen, dining room and the living room. It was all in one room, but it was much bigger than their older apartment. They even had an amazing view of the city. Midoriya could even see UA from here, which was kind of comforting to see. Whoa! This place is amazing! Ashido exclaimed. Your kitchen is so nice. I'm kind of jealous, Sato said to her. Even the living room is pretty spacious and comfy, Kaminari said as he sat down. Midoriya was shocked to see how different it was. He had to get used to it, but it was weird seeing this as his place too. Something about it still felt like home somehow, and he couldn't quite place it. Maybe it was the way she decorated and had things placed similar to their older apartment. Then he realized that this meant he had a new room. Wait, does this mean I have a new room? Midoriya asked her. Well, of course. Go check it out. It's around the corner over there, Ms. Midoriya told them. All of his classmates were instantly interested in his room as they followed him towards it. Midoriya felt a bit embarrassed, knowing what kind of stuff he had in there. He soon picked up the pace as they tried to get inside. Midoriya stopped Ashido from going inside, feeling red in the face. Come on, Midoriya. Ashido exclaimed to him, let us see your room. Ashido. Don't be pushy, Yaoyorozu told her, maybe he should see it first. It is his place after all. Midoriya hesitated to open the door, but soon took a peek inside. His eyes widened, shocked to see his room. A bigger room than he was expecting. It was similar to his older room, but something about it seemed more like something that he could only dream about. It had All Might figures, posters, and even his All Might blanket on his bed. But it looked like there was more to it than it used to be. His room had a bigger desk with his notebooks and hero collections, more space for a TV, and even a bigger closet. Something about it felt like he dreaming. Midoriya walked into his room, feeling overwhelmed with emotions. Tears came up, realizing that his mom spent money so he could have a nice place to live in. She did all of this for him. Oh, Mom. Midoriya said under his breath. Some of his friends peeked into his room, making sure he was okay. But then they looked inside, shocked to see how big it was. Whoa! Uraraka exclaimed to him, it's the size of my house. They all came in, shocked to see how big his room was. Even Bakugo was stunned to see how big it was as they looked around. This is your room? Ashido exclaimed to him. You really are a fanboy of All Might's, Kaminari said to him as he eyed his collections. Midoriya didn't mind them in his room, realizing how spacious it was. He looked around some more, realizing that his mom got him some extra things here and there. Some things for his desk and notebooks. She even got him some sketchbooks, knowing that he liked the draw here and there. That alone caught his attention. He grabbed one of them, hoping that he could use it at the beach as he placed it into his backpack. Then he noticed that he didn't check his closet for anything else. Midoriya opened it to see that he had some new clothes when he opened it. Seeing all of these new things was a bit overwhelming for a moment. But then he worried that she spent too much. That things might not work out. He wanted to be happy, but he couldn't help it. Seeing all of these new things made him wonder if she was being too reckless. "You're lucky, man. Your mom must have made a lot of money to be able to do this," Kirishima said to him. Midoriya soon closed his closet door, feeling the need to talk to her. Some of them noticed him avoiding eye contact as he got ready to head out. Midoriya wanted to be happy, but he had to know how things were going. She's never done this sort of thing before. His classmates and friends were confused as to why he was leaving his room. They followed him as he spotted his mom talking to Toga. She smiled at him like things were okay. "Did you like your room? Isn't it amazing how much more space we have?" Ms. Midoriya asked him. Midoriya bit his lip, hoping that things were all right in their new place. He tried to brush it off, but he couldn't just yet. "Are you sure about this? All of this?" Midoriya asked her. "It just seems like a bit much, don't you think?" His classmates and friends were shocked to hear him say this to her. Then again, he might not be ready for all of this. Ms. Midoriya looked at him like she understood where he was coming from. "Of course, I want to make things easier for both of us," Ms. Midoriya said to him. "I knew that a place near UA would make things easier for me and you. But we don't have Dad's money supporting us anymore," Midoriya said back. "Is UA really paying you this much? There's no way you made this much money this quickly. To buy all of this? You even got me all of that stuff in my room. New clothes, new desk, and even a TV? Are you sure that this isn't too much too fast?" Ms. Midoriya looked a bit upset for him, and Midoriya was quiet for a moment. No one said anything as Midoriya confronted his mother. She soon avoided eye contact with him, and Midoriya realized that something was going on. She even played with her hair in a way that stuck out to him. I wasn't going to tell you until after the trip, but," Ms. Midoriya said to him, "some things have come up. I first turned down the offer, but I saw the opportunity and knew that could help all of us." He insisted on helping out. Midoriya's eyes widened, realizing that there was something else going on. Before he could even speak up, someone entered the apartment. "Hey Inko. Does Izuku like the apartment?" Midoriya whipped his head over towards All Might, shocked to see him coming up so nonchalantly. Even his classmates were shocked to see him coming in like this. Something about it felt different as Midoriya couldn't stop staring at him and his mom. All Might then spotted him staring as he took off his shoes by the door. As if it were a regular thing for him. All Might stopped in his tracks, realizing that Midoriya was watching him coming inside. "Izuku, do you like the place?" All Might asked him. "Your mother put a lot of effort into this apartment." Midoriya's eyes went from All Might and then to his mom, realizing something was going on between them. Then he looked around the apartment, realizing how much had changed so quickly. How she got all of this and then some. The bonus from UA. Midoriya looked at his mom as his face turned red. Don't tell me that. You and Toshinori are," Midoriya said as he trailed off. Ms. Midoriya felt that as she let out a sigh. All Might seemed a bit thrown off by this confrontation. Even his classmates were shocked to realize what's going on. "Toshinori. He figured it out already," Ms. Midoriya said to him. "I should have known that I can't hide anything from him." All Might looked at Midoriya with a nervous smile as he walked up to his mom. The way they leaned into each other was still something that he needed to get used to. But something about them seemed used to it already. Midoriya's eyes couldn't look away from them as All Might faced him. I might have helped out here and there with this apartment because we're sharing it. I didn't at first, but we came to an agreement," All Might told him. "She was supposed to tell you about it after the trip." Midoriya's eyes widened, realizing what this meant. His face turned red, and so did some of his classmates. "You moved into our apartment?" Midoriya exclaimed to them. "It gave my mom your money." All Might and Ms. Midoriya were clearly not ready to tell him, and Midoriya wasn't ready for this either. All Might was nervous as he faced him. "Oh, yes, but it was just sitting there doing nothing for such a long time," All Might told him. "I had a little extra money here and there, and I thought that now was the time to finally put it to good use." Midoriya was shocked as his eyes widened even more. He even stumbled a little, feeling a bit dizzy for a moment. He thought that One for All was acting out for a moment as his vision went in and out. For a split second, he thought he saw the vestige world. He tried to shake it off as All Might explain things. "I know how you feel about your father, but..." All Might told him, "I'm doing this because I want to be here for you and your mother. I know it seems like we're going about things faster than you expected, but we both wanted this. I never would have done this if I didn't care about both of you. Besides, it's mostly your mother's money. I barely put anything towards your things. That was all her." "Toshinori, please, give him a minute to process," Ms. Midoriya said to him. "Of course," All Might told her. Midoriya stood there, feeling a bit overwhelmed by all of this. His knees were shaking as his face turned red, realizing what was going on with his mom and All Might. He didn't know what to think of this as felt himself processing for a moment. "Why and to Toshinori are moving in together," Midoriya said back under his breath. His classmates stood there as Midoriya took it all in. Soon enough, Midoriya looked up at All Might and his mom. He looked a bit out of it as he looked at them both together. Something about it seemed like it was all too fast for him. He thought that this would be a great way to start the beach trip. But something about All Might and his mom sharing an apartment seemed like too much too fast. I need a moment," Midoriya said under his breath. Midoriya soon stood up as he adjusted his backpack. Without a word to his friends, he walked out of the apartment. Unfortunately, they would be going on the trip with him. But for now he needed some space from them both. Midoriya soon entered the elevator without anyone else. He stood there, thinking about how this could have possibly happened. His mom just got out of their father's grasp. Now she was making this decision with All Might. He knew that things were different with him, but it just seemed like she was making the same mistake again. He hoped that she would do things her own way for once. Midoriya soon walked out of the elevator and found himself in the bus before anyone else. Mr. Aizawa was shocked to see him back before his classmates. He sat down in his seat, waiting for them to leave. "Midoriya? I thought that you would be in there longer," Mr. Aizawa told him. Midoriya didn't say anything as he put down his backpack. He didn't even look at Mr. Aizawa when he spoke up. "I just needed some space," Midoriya said under his breath. Mr. Aizawa didn't even say anything as Midoriya sat there. For a moment, it was quiet. Then Midoriya realized that he'd be sitting with his mom and All Might nearby. He wanted some space from them for now. Midoriya didn't know if he was allowed to even change seats. Then again, he was vice class rep. "Mr. Aizawa, is it okay if I sit in the back?" Midoriya asked him. Mr. Aizawa seemed surprised, but soon nodded that it was okay. Midoriya soon got up with his backpack and moved down to the back of the bus. He didn't normally sit far away from everyone else, but he needed some space. Midoriya without thinking reached into his backpack and grabbed one of those sketchbooks. He had some pencils that he grabbed from his dorm room. Without even thinking about it, he decided to sketch something. He didn't even care what it was, he just decided to sketch quietly. He didn't even notice some of his classmates coming onto the bus. Some of them might have seen him on the bus, but didn't say anything. He was too busy focusing on the sketchbook. All Might and Ms. Midoriya didn't even try to talk to him or sit with him. Soon enough everyone was on the bus and sitting in their usual seats. However, Midoriya sat away from everyone else. Uraraka kept looking at him without him even realizing it. Midoriya didn't even think about what was going on as he kept sketching. He didn't want to even think about All Might, his mom and the new apartment at the moment. Something about it felt weird to even bring up. He was used to it being just him and his mom around. Something about All Might showing up like this made things different. In a way that he didn't know if he liked it or not. All he wanted to do was sketch. He thought he heard his friends whispering about him when he wasn't looking. They seemed worried about him, but didn't dare to say anything to him. Midoriya tried to ignore them for now, knowing that they would get to the beach soon enough. He just wanted to get there so he could settle down. Midoriya just wanted to enjoy this beach trip. When there was a red light, Midoriya noticed Uraraka coming over to him. He barely looked up at her, but noticed her smiling. Something about her smile, however, seemed a bit forced. "Hey Izuku," Uraraka said to him, "can I sit with you?" Midoriya didn't say anything, but scooted over. Uraraka sat down with him, but he soon went back to sketching. He realized that he had been sketching a beach, but something about didn't seem like Takoba Municipal Beach Park. Looked different, which he didn't understand what it was that he had drawn. Then again, it was a sketch. "Are you sketching Takoba Municipal Beach Park?" Uraraka asked him. Midoriya looked up, but didn't say anything. Uraraka seemed to understand why he was acting like this. She gave him a half smile as if she wanted to be there for him. She soon held his hand for comfort, and he seemed to like that. It helped him relax into her embrace as she smiled at him. "It's okay to be a bit nervous," Uraraka said back. "All Might and your mother really care about each other though. Think that this is different." Midoriya's eyes widened, but he didn't want to talk about it at the moment. He bit his lip and hesitated to say anything else. "Achiko, I really do appreciate you trying to help, but I'd rather enjoy this beach trip," Midoriya said to her. "Can we talk about something else?" Uraraka seemed to understand as she gave him space. She sat with him and smiled at his sketching. "Sure," Uraraka said to him. Midoriya felt that as she sat with him during the rest of the drive. It took for a little while to get there, but Midoriya didn't mind. It helped get back into the feeling of being on a beach trip. He focused on how good it was going to feel to hero train with his friends. To walk onto the beach with Uraraka. How amazing that summer breeze felt on the beach. Then he realized that him and All Might hero trained there. For 10 months. Something about it felt weird realizing what was going on. He tried not to let it ruin his nostalgic memories. But something about it did feel weird that him and his mom were together. Not only that, but they were living together in an apartment. Midoriya felt his grip tighten up, realizing that things were different. He didn't know what to think of this. He tried to shake it off for now as they came closer to the beach. Midoriya looked up from his sketchbook as everyone leaned into the windows. His eyes were in awe as the beach came up into view. It was stunning as the sunlight shined onto the ocean. It sparkled in a way that caught his attention. Even the sand looked clean and had that warmth just looking at it. There were some other people on the beach that were smiling as they had fun on the sand. "Wow, this beach is so beautiful," Ashido exclaimed to them. "It's so much better than it used to be," Yaoyorozu said to them. "You must have worked really hard on cleaning the beach, Midoriya." Midoriya felt that as he looked out the windows. Seeing his hard work go towards an amazing beach somehow made things feel not so bad. It made him realize that he might have been a bit harsh with his mom and All Might. The sight of the beach had such a view that made him feel like things were working really well for him. After all, his friends were here to hero train on the beach that he worked hard on. It was something to be proud of. Maybe he did need this after all. "Yeah," Midoriya said under his breath. They were also excited to see the beach as they drove closer to Yaoyorozu's beach house. Class 2B's bus was already here as they pulled up near it. Even Class 1A and B were across from them, but were staying in a nearby hotel. Once they came to a stop, Yaoyorozu took charge as Midoriya collected his things. They all walked out of the bus rather easily without any pushing and shoving. Ashido and Kaminari were so excited, but were patient enough. Soon enough, they were facing the beach entrance as they exited the bus. Midoriya's eyes lit up once he stepped outside. The summer breeze was enough to make him feel better. Just the sight of it was enough to make him remember all of the memories him and All Might had together. The beach was his first steps to being a student in UA and a pro hero. Tears were close to forming under his eyes as he thought about it some more. He couldn't look away as everyone else looked at the beautiful view. "Wow, this place feels so good," Hagakure exclaimed to them. "I missed that sea breeze," Uraraka said to them. Midoriya felt that as a tear formed under his eye. Uraraka noticed it as a smile formed on his face. I missed it too. Outside of Takoba Municipal Beach Park, Midoriya and Class 2A were finally here. They felt so relieved to finally be standing outside of UA. Something about taking a trip away from classes and hallways felt like something they all needed. Just seeing the sight of the beach made them all take a deep breath in and out. Even Mr. Aizawa seemed more relaxed, which was something. All right, class, Mr. Aizawa said to them, we're running a bit late, so you're gonna have to settle down along with Class 2B. Let me handle Vlad King while you talk to Class 2B about your new classmate. Midoriya felt that, remembering that Toga was still a problem with the other classmates. Even though things were better with Class 2B, Monoma would definitely stir up trouble. If he really was the UA traitor, then he might make things more complicated. Midoriya just hoped that Toga could handle things. Before they could even think about what to say, Midoriya felt someone hug him tightly. Izuku, you're here! Himawari exclaimed to him. Midoriya wasn't expecting that as she hugged him even tighter. Himawari, we just saw each other not that long ago, Midoriya said through her embrace. I know. I'm just so excited, Himawari said to him with a big smile. I just can't wait to hero train with you. I just wish that Nami could be here with us. She would have loved this. She did hero train here too. Midoriya remembered that very well when she told him about her hero training. Something about that made his cheeks warm up. He still didn't know how to feel about her. He didn't know her very well, and he hoped that Himawari got to know her better as of recently. Himawari, do you know Nami well? I mean, she's kind of quiet, right? Midoriya asked her, does she ever talk to you? Do you know anything about her? Some of his classmates were confused as to why he was asking Himawari about Nami. Midoriya didn't notice, but Himawari did seem a bit thrown off by these questions. Why are you suddenly interested in Nami all of a sudden? Himawari asked him. She's just a friend. Nami can be quiet, but I kind of like that about her. But she definitely has a fire side to her, if you know what I mean. It's kind of inspiring, you know? Midoriya noticed her playing with her hair again, which stood out even more now. Her eyes seemed to be distant as she thought about her. Midoriya's eyes widened, realizing that something was going on. Before he could ask her anything else, her classmates called her back over to them. All right, I'll be there in a minute. Himawari cried out and then turned to Midoriya. I gotta go. Maybe we can go for a walk or something on the beach soon. Midoriya didn't mind that idea and smiled. Sure, I'd like that, Midoriya said to her. Soon enough, Himawari ran over to her classmates. Midoriya watched her leave, but then noticed some of his friends staring at him. Even Ashido and Kaminari were giving him weird looks. What? Midoriya asked them, what did I do? Why are you so interested in Nami? Ashido asked him, she's just a first year. Midoriya was confused as to why they were asking this. He didn't see anything wrong with this. Then again, he never told them about his dreams. Maybe his dreams were just getting through to him somehow. Something about Himawari dragging Nami down did stand out to him. Like it meant something to them or just Nami. Something about it just felt like he was missing something. Nami just seems a bit suspicious is all, Midoriya said to them. I don't know anything about her, and Himawari can be a bit oblivious sometimes. Class 2A all looked at him with confused looks on their faces. But what could possibly make her so suspicious? If you don't know anything about her, why are you so adamant about this? Yaoyorozu asked him. Yeah. Nami didn't do anything to you or Himawari, Kirishima said back. Midoriya thought about it for a moment, but then that dream kept coming up. He thought about the moment he met her. The way her eyes looked when he stared at her. Something about her eyes were so mesmerizing, as if he could get pulled into her gaze. It was so relaxing for a moment, almost like he could feel the coolness of the ocean itself around her. He soon snapped out of it, realizing they were waiting for an answer. I have this feeling is all, Midoriya said to them. Ashido and Kaminari gave him knowing looks which got through to him finally. Sounds like you're finally being an overprotective older brother if you ask me, Ashido said to him. Yeah dude, Let Himawari make friends on her own. Nami seems harmless, Kaminari said back. Midoriya felt that as his face turned red from embarrassment. He adjusted his backpack and soon shook off these feelings. Whatever. I'm just looking out for her is all. Midoriya said to them. Himawari can make friends all she wants. I'm just being overprotective, Siro pointed out. Paranoid, Kaminari pointed out. Maybe even a bit nosy, Mineta said back. Midoriya felt that as his face turned red. He soon stepped away from him as he headed into the beach house. They all grabbed their things and walked over to the front door. Mr. Aizawa already got his things and went inside while they were talking. Even All Might and Ms. Midoriya settled down before them. Kitsune decided to help out Ms. Midoriya with some things as well. Yaoyorozu knew how to set things up once they got inside, and Midoriya went on ahead. It's nothing. Can we just drop it? Midoriya pointed out. We need to explain things to Class 2B about Hi. Once he went to open the front doors, they flew open right in front of his face. His green hair went flying back behind him as his eyes widened from the sudden breeze. Class 2B were all there to greet them, smiles and all. Kendo was the first to show up along with the others as Class 2A stopped in their tracks. Midoriya noticed them instinctively hide Toga from them as they surrounded her for a moment. They didn't know how to explain things quite yet, and Midoriya felt that too. Midoriya! Kendo exclaimed to him as she hugged him, I was so worried about you when that SWAT unit took you away recently. I'm glad you're okay. Everyone was worried. Midoriya felt that as he stiffened up from her hug. She seemed confused as to why he was stiff, but gave him a smirk either way. Hey, why are you so stiff? Loosen up. We're at the beach, Kendo said to him as she gave him a light punch. Midoriya felt that, knowing that she had a strong quirk. He rubbed his arm as he gave her a nervous laugh. Class 2A didn't dare move, which confused them. Then Kendo and the others saw Yaoyorozu, excited to finally be all together. Yaoyorozu. It's nice to finally see everyone outside of UA, Tokage said back with a smirk. Why? It feels really good, Yaoyorozu said to them nervously. Almost too good to be true, Kaminari said, earning him a jab in the ribs from Jairu. They all looked at their friends, confused as to why they were acting all weird. Even Tetsu looked at Kirishima, but seemed less confused as he ran over to him. Hey Kirishima! Tetsu cried out, making them jump. This is exciting. We should hero train together as soon as possible. When do we ever get the chance to hero train on a beach like this? Kirishima hesitated to walk away from Toga, but smiled with his sharp teeth anyway. Why? Of course, Kirishima said with excitement. We definitely should do that. But we should settle down first. Yeah. Why don't I set things up before we get the chance to talk things over? Yaoyorozu said a little too quickly. Midoriya, can you please help me out here? Please. Midoriya felt nervous, but he was Vice Class Republic after all. Yes. Of course. Midoriya said back, we should have. Everyone settle down first. Yaoyorozu and Midoriya took charge as the rest of their class walked into the beach house. Class 2B were so confused as to why they walking so close together. Somehow they hid Toga as they entered the beach house. Midoriya really thought that Toga would reveal herself or say something inappropriate to expose what was going on in UA. But she stayed quiet. Midoriya looked at Yaoyorozu, ready for her take charge. Okay. Where are you guys staying? It'll help us figure out where our class can stay, Yaoyorozu asked them. The girls and guys are in separate rooms, Tokage said to them. I figured that you could have some space since this is your beach house. You have other rooms that seem big enough for everyone else. You have no idea, Kaminari said, earning himself another jab from Jairu. Kendo and Tokage and the others eyed him, confused. Sorry about him. He's just really excited about the beach house, Jairu said to them with a nervous smile. Thanks Tokage. This does work out really well actually, Yaoyorozu told them. There are 4 guest rooms, my room, and the master bedroom. We should have plenty of room in here. We can share the living room, kitchen, and dining room. There's even a library with a view of the beach. Midoriya and Class 2A were shocked to hear this. Even Class 2B were surprised, clearly not knowing about the whole beach house. DMN. You really are rich, Awase said to her. Midoriya worried about them sharing space with Toga. They needed to tell them before things got out of hand. He shared a look with Yaoyorozu, and she seemed to be thinking about the same thing. Then he spotted Monoma, which stopped him in his tracks. Something about seeing him there made him freeze in place. If he really was the UA traitor, this definitely made things even more complicated. But it was just one person. They could handle him. All right then. We'll let you settle down before we have lunch together, Kendo said to them. They were about to leave, but then Midoriya stopped them without realizing it. Wait, Midoriya called out, biting his lip. Kendo and the others were shocked for a moment, but looked back at their friend. Midoriya stood there, looking nervous. Class 2A didn't know what to say as him and Yaoyorozu stood there. Midoriya, however, tried to come up with a way to make things easier for them. Do you remember what I said? During the sports festival? Midoriya asked them that we should finally put this feud aside and work together. Tokage and the others were confused, but she stood there as class representative. Kendo was even smiling at him, but clearly knew that something was up. Of course, we still take that day to heart. Or at least, most of us does, Kendo said as she eyed Monoma. Hey, I can't help it if they are always in the spotlight, Monoma said back. They're like a bunch of magnets to it. It's kind of ridiculous at this point. Kendo was about to karate chop him, but he flinched from it. Let out a sigh and faced Midoriya. What are you getting at, Midoriya? Tokage asked him. You clearly want to tell us something important. Midoriya forgot that Tokage was usually pretty smart when it came to stuff like this. He stuttered a little but somehow found a way around this. As heroes in training, I feel like we've improved a lot, and maybe even found ways to evolve. We even seem to be doing better than the first year we were in UA. So much has changed, you know? I feel like UA has changed a lot. In more ways than one. I feel like things have started to open up a bit for others to start seeing themselves as if they really wanted to, that is. Wouldn't you agree that there's room for second chances or maybe becoming a better person? Especially in UA? Midoriya noticed Monoma twitch his eyebrow a bit as if that got through to him. He knew that something like this would bother him. Kendo and the others on the other hand seemed somewhat interested in what Midoriya had to say. I guess so, since UA is one of the best hero schools out there, Kendo said to them. But can anyone really be a hero? Awase pointed out, you kind of need a quirk in order to get into UA, right? Midoriya felt that, but they had no idea what he's been through to get here. Class 2A got nervous as they stood around Toga. Kendo, is there any way that you can keep an open mind? Midoriya asked her with genuine eyes. Mr. Aizawa and other teachers have. I need you and everyone to as well. Things can be much better if you just. Please trust me. Kendo and the others were so confused, but were clearly interested in what he had to say. Even Monoma was confused. But Midoriya noticed her looking a bit more aware of something going on. Sure, Midoriya, Kendo said to her, I trust you. That goes for everyone in Class 2B, right guys? They soon all agreed slowly, but Monoma didn't say anything. He crossed his arms, and Kendo gave him a glare. Monoma barely flinched, but he soon looked at Midoriya with annoyance. Fine. Monoma said back, this better be going somewhere. Midoriya felt that, worried about how things might turn out. He did all he could for now to convince them that things were okay. Then he turned to Class 2A who were a bit nervous. Midoriya nodded to them as they hid Toga from behind them. Before they knew it, Bakugo was the first to walk away as if he didn't care one way or another. The others scattered a bit to reveal someone that Class 2B weren't expecting to show up. Toga looked like she was entertained by this, but soon smiled at Class 2B. Hey, that was quite the speech, Izuku. Even I was convinced for a moment there, Toga said to him. Midoriya felt that, but Class 2B seemed to be in shock for a moment as they got in defense mode. Toga? Kendo cried out, what is she doing here? With you guys? Isn't she from the League of Villains? Tokage explained to them with angry eyes. Midoriya stood between them, noticing Monoma's reaction. He was pale white as if his cover had been blown. For now, he had to focus on calming them down. It's exactly what I said, Midoriya said to them. Himiko is one of us. She's been hero training and taking classes privately. Mr. Aizawa wanted to do this quietly until Yue was okay with letting her go to classes. This changed. Class 2B were shocked to hear this and looked at her, and then the rest of Class 2A. Why you? You can't be serious. Tokage said to them. Midoriya's right. Yaoyorozu said to them with determined eyes. Toga's been improving a lot more than any of us expected. She even helped us with Intelli and Adam a while ago. She hasn't broken any rules, has been taking classes privately, and hero training with Mr. Aizawa. We couldn't say anything because we need to introduce this kind of thing into UA slowly to make sure things work out. If this works, she could be a big new step for UA. All we need is for you to understand that she's turned over a new leaf. Kendo and the rest of Class 2B were at a loss for words. Midoriya could tell that this was a lot for them. Even Monoma wasn't expecting this as he stared at Toga. She avoided eye contact with him, knowing exactly what was going on with him. Midoriya didn't say anything, but then Toga let out a sigh. She even walked over to Midoriya as she leaned onto him like they were friends or something. Kendo and the others were shocked that he was okay with this. He was used to it at this point as she spoke up. Izuku. Speeches aren't going to cut it for Class 2B, Toga said back. Talking things over is great and all that, but they need more than just words. Midoriya was confused as to where this was going. Himiko. What are you suggesting exactly? Midoriya asked her. Toga looked at him, and then at Class 2B. Luckily they weren't attacking Toga or anything along those lines. She even eyed Monoma for a moment, which made him flinch. His face was pale white, and Midoriya noticed it too. But then she looked at the rest of Class 2B. Midoriya noticed her looking at him in a way that made him realize what was going on. Himiko. I don't know if this is going to help anything, Midoriya said to her. You really think showing them your quirk is going to change anything? Toga stared at him, then Uraraka and Bakugo, which made him step away from her. Midoriya felt less tense around her, which definitely helped Class 2B relax a bit. He let out a sigh as he rolled up his sleeve. Class 2B were really confused as to what was going on as Midoriya got ready. Maybe I should explain things before you know? Toga said to them as she eyed them. We know you. You're Himiko Toga, Tokage explained to her with suspicious eyes. You can turn into anyone you want by drinking their blood. Toga gave her a smirk which them all flinch for a moment. Guess you've done your research, Toga said to her, but I can only transform into that person for a certain amount of time, depending on how much blood I drink. Toga then turned to Midoriya as he got ready for her to bite down on his arm. Class 2B didn't like where this was going as Toga looked at him. Before she did anything, she looked at Uraraka and then Bakugo. She even eyed Monoma, which caught his attention. Her eyes narrowed in on for a moment like she had a plan or something. Himiko. Midoriya said to her. Izuku. Class 2B trusts you, right? Toga pointed out. But if we really need to convince them, then it needs to be someone else. But Himiko. I won't break the rules, don't worry about that, Toga interrupted them. I just feel like we need to show them that things are different now. Maybe with someone who is a bit more stubborn in your class. If you know what I mean. Midoriya instantly turned to Bakugo, who was flinching from Toga's gaze. Class 2B was shocked that he was even involved with her at all. His face was red from embarrassment as if this brought up uncomfortable memories. Teach, there's no way in hell you're getting any of my diamond blood. Bakugo cried out, keep me out of your plans, Toga. Come on, Kaken. We need this in order to show them that things are okay now, Midoriya told them. Himiko has changed, even if you're struggling to admit that. UA needs this right now. If we can finally do this, then things will be much better in UA, don't you want that? Bakugo hesitated as Class 2B waited patiently for Class 2A. Even Toga looked about ready to show them that she was one of them now. Something about her looked a bit more proud of herself as she eyed Bakugo. Her eyes seemed less intense and much softer than they used to be. He let out a sigh, feeling a little nervous around Class 2B. Just get it over with already. In Yaoyorozu's beach house, Midoriya didn't know how he felt about this situation. Toga smiled at Bakugo as he showed her his arm. Class 2B didn't like this, and Midoriya kept an eye on Monoma. He was pale white and distanced himself from Toga. Something about him seemed a bit quiet once she showed up. Midoriya wondered if that was a sign that he was definitely the UA traitor. Toga soon grabbed his arm rather gently, which seemed a bit different. Bakugo held his breath as she bit down onto his arm. Class 2B were ready to jump in and help him as she drank his blood. Midoriya reminded them that she needed to drink his blood in order for her quirk to work. Bakugo tried not to wince from her drinking it as his face turned red from embarrassment. Toga kept going at it, but then soon stopped herself before anyone could do it for her. Midoriya noticed that she was having an easier time letting go than she used to. Toga even seemed less intense when she drank his blood, like she was able to control it better. She liked up the blood around her mouth, which freaked out Class 2B. Bakugo felt the pain running up and down his arm as Kirishima ran over to him. "There's gotta be a better way of doing that," Tsunotori said to them. "That looked like it hurt a lot." It wasn't that bad," Bakugo said through gritted teeth. Yaoyorozu soon made him some bandages and helped wrap up his wound. Before Class 2A or B knew it, Toga was already undressing herself without them realizing it. Midoriya turned red from seeing her chest for a moment. But then some of the girls pulled her away and hid her before showing herself completely. "Himiko! You should have warned us!" Uraraka exclaimed to her. "Sorry. Old habits die hard, I guess," Toga said to them as she undressed. She eyed Bakugo for a moment before disappearing behind the girls. They hid her behind Class 2B as they blushed from embarrassment for her. Midoriya tried to shake this off, noticing that she was transforming into Bakugo. It felt weird to see an angle of her getting taller and turning into his friend. It was something that was still weird to see happen in front of him. Soon enough she was Bakugo, beach attire and all. The girls let out a sigh and revealed Toga to Class 2B. They were shocked to see how much she looked like Bakugo. She looked exactly like him without any flaws that make it stand out. Even his smirk was perfectly copied, which caught Bakugo's attention. "Oh, she looks exactly like you, Bakugo," Tetsu exclaimed. "Yeah. No sheet," Bakugo mumbled more to himself. "I even sound like him, which is usually the key to fooling all of the extras around you," Toga said with Bakugo's voice. Midoriya noticed Monoma looking a bit thrown by this, as if he didn't like this at all. But Class 2B were all in awe at how amazing her quirk was. "Wow. Your quirk is definitely useful even if you have to drink someone's blood in order to use it," Kendo said to her. "I bet you could help someone a lot with medical problems with a quirk like that. I wonder if your blood transforms into a different type. That could help someone for real if they really needed it." Midoriya never thought about that, and even Toga seemed thrown off by this realization. She even looked at Bakugo's hands, feeling curious. I don't know. I've never thought about that before," Toga said to them. "I guess I wouldn't know unless I tried a test or something." Class 2B were all finally understanding things better as they slowly got to know Toga better. The more they talked, the more Class 2A felt relieved. Even Midoriya couldn't help but feel an exhale escape from his lungs. All of the girls were somewhat interested in her quirk, which stuck out since she was transformed as Bakugo. It was weird seeing him with the girls of Class 2B like this. But then Midoriya noticed Monoma looking at Toga with suspicious eyes. Something about him seemed confused or on edge. Midoriya was worried that they might have made things more complicated with him around. He then noticed Toga eyeing him in the corner of the room as if she were up to something. "You know, having someone like you around might make things much easier," Shota said to her. "Someone like you could change a lot in UA. Your quirk could actually help others in more ways than one," Kendo said to her. "If you all can pull this off, this could change a lot for the better," Tokage said back with a smirk. "I'll admit, Class 2A did good." "Yeah. We had no idea that Toga was even here," Awaze said to them, "unless she snuck around campus as one of you during classes or something like that." That caught Monoma's attention as Midoriya noticed his eyes widen. Toga even seemed somewhat expecting of this to happen as she eyed him for a moment. Midoriya could tell that she wanted to see how he would react to this. He didn't want things to get out of hand, however, but Monoma was already walking up to her. The moment he faced Toga, something about it made him get riled up. "It was you," Monoma said to her. "You were Bakugo the other day. I knew something was off. He would never stand up for Midoriya like you did." Midoriya felt that, not expecting him to even notice that he faced Toga without realizing it. Monoma didn't like this one bit. The way his eyes grew wide made Midoriya wonder why he was angry. "Who else have you turned into around you, huh? I bet you've been around campus whenever you want to as whoever benefits you," Monoma said to her. "How could anyone ever trust someone like you with a quirk like that around? You're just biding your time until you get what you want." "Monoma!" Kendo cried out, "That's enough." "She hasn't done anything like that," Midoriya said to him. "She has been improving a lot and sticking to the rules. Mr. Aizawa has been helping her out a lot. She was only Kaken because we needed help uncovering some things about Intelli and Adam." Midoriya felt himself almost slip about Monoma. He didn't want to cause a scene. Not when this was supposed to be a vacation and trip out of UA. He wanted them to know about Monoma. But they didn't have any actual proof about him. The most he could do was bide his time and hope that they would find out the truth soon enough. "Izuku, you don't have to defend me," Toga said to him. "I can defend myself just fine on my own." Toga faced Monoma, who seemed a bit conflicted about this whole situation. She gave him a glare that made him flinch. Midoriya knew that Toga somehow knew the truth based on his voice. Something about her facing him gave Midoriya chills, not knowing what Monoma might do after this whole exchange. You're the only one who is against Class 2A. Why is that exactly?" "There's gotta be a reason for your grudges and ranting," Toga said to him. "Maybe some kind of insecurities or not enough attention as a kid. That's just sad to take it out on a single class of soon-to-be heroes. I've changed for the better. What about you?" That shut up Monoma on the spot. Even Class 2B were stunned to see someone like him be put in his place like that. Class 2A found it satisfying to see Toga as Bakugo say such things to him. Even Bakugo himself was stunned to see himself saying all of those things to him. Midoriya was shocked that Toga didn't fight him or even try to hurt him. She was somehow able to hold herself back, which was impressive. Something about her eyes told Midoriya that she wanted to tell Class 2B about him being a possible UA traitor. Midoriya didn't want to make things so confusing and complicated on a trip like this. He hoped that she would understand that as she stared him down. He didn't even know what to say, and Midoriya realized that he was clearly thinking about whatever he was going through. His face was pale, but no one else seemed to notice. Soon enough, he stared at her with riled-up eyes that wouldn't go away. "Why you don't know anything about me," Monoma said to her. "You're just a wannabe hero, trying to get attention." "Monoma, for once, you need to shut up," Kendo said to him as she showed him her karate fist. "If someone like Toga can change, then you need to give her a chance. Why can't you just see things differently?" "I can't believe I'm saying this, but I agree with Toga," Awase said to them. Midoriya's eyes widened, and so did his classmates as they watched Class 2B slowly side with Toga on this one. They turned on Monoma so fast that something about it made Midoriya feel that much more supported. He couldn't help but smile, feeling relieved to know that they cared about what they had to say. Class 2B was finally seeing eye to eye with Class 2A. Monoma was shocked, which only riled him up even more. He didn't even know what to think about this. For a moment, he just glared at Toga like she was Bakugo for real. Something about him seemed to be angry, but in a different way now. Midoriya saw something that gave him chills as Monoma stared at her. Before he knew it, Monoma left them all behind as he stomped away. It was quiet. They all stood there in the middle of the living room of Yaoyorozu's beach house. It was huge and spacious, but no one really thought about it at the moment. Even the beautiful view coming from outside was somehow ignored for a little while. Toga stood there, feeling a bit satisfied with how things turned out. She then turned to Class 2B as she crossed her arms. "By the way, I'm not sorry for that," Toga said to them. "I can't believe that you have to put up with him all the time." "You get used to it," Suburaba said back. "Actually, he's been quiet for a good while now," Kendo pointed out. "We were so confused as to why he was so distant. Maybe those sessions with Kitsune are helping." But then again, he never mentions how it's going with her. Midoriya felt that, wondering if he was doing something that he shouldn't be doing. He then remembered that piece of paper of his friends and their quirks that fell out of his backpack. Something about that stuck out to him even more. Why would he be so secretive to his own class? Toga asked them with a side eye. No offense, but living in a dorm room definitely means knowing more about your classmates. Trust me, I should know. Midoriya noticed her pushing them for answers without actually interrogating them. No one seemed suspicious of her as Kendo and the others thought about it. He's surprisingly always been secretive with us, Kendo told them. I know. Shocking. But he's not exactly open to sharing personal family things or anything like that. It's just always been so loud and obnoxious that maybe he's trying to hide what's actually going on. I don't know. It's probably nothing to worry about. Yeah, but he's been so quiet lately. Something must have happened as of lately, Tokij said to her. I noticed him being quiet. Probably around the time those stupid rumors came up. Maybe even before that. Midoriya felt that, hoping that no one would ever bring that up during the beach trip. Class 2A felt that, knowing that the rumors were not true. Something about that did seem a bit of an odd timing to say the least. Midoriya wondered if this meant anything if Monoma knew something that he didn't. Yeah. He did have that fight with Shinso and Monoma during the sports festival. Tetsu said to them, don't you remember? He was so quiet all the way back to you. He wouldn't talk at all after that. Something definitely got to him to shut up right after that match. Midoriya didn't know what to think of this. For a moment, his vision blurred as he felt himself drifting into the vestige world. He didn't even mean to, but something came over him the moment they started talking about Monoma like this. It felt like something was warning him about him. He didn't like this feeling one bit as the vestige world came into view. He saw the first one for all holder. He was trying to tell him something important. Midoriya couldn't tell what he was saying, but felt so out of it for a moment. Before he could even tell what the holder was saying, he snapped out of it. Something pulled him back, and Midoriya shook it off. He didn't know what it was, but it was helping him snap out of it. Whatever the first holder was trying to tell him, it would have to wait until later. No one even seemed to notice him zoning out for a moment there. Luckily, Toga's transformation was already wearing off, which caused them to focus on her. All of the girls from Class 2A pulled her away for a moment as she detransformed. Uraraka held her clothes as she dragged her into the restroom. Midoriya appreciated Class 2B for listening to them. Monoma was a whole other story, but he really thought that this was a step in the right direction. He turned to Class 2B, relieved to get that out of the way. I really appreciate you taking your time to listen to what we had to say. Even if it was confusing and a lot to handle, Midoriya said to them, we wanted to tell you, but Mr. Aizawa and Principal Nizu have a plan of slowly introducing this brand new idea into UA. I hope you all can understand someday soon. We're not asking you to accept Himiko Toga right away, but I hoped that introducing her would help see her in a different light. Class 2B all stood there as Midoriya bowed to them respectfully. Even some of Class 2A were surprised to see how Midoriya was handling this. You don't have to do that, Midoriya, Kendo said to him as she waved him off. We understand what's going on. Yeah. You've always been like this, even when it had nothing to do with Toga or other villains, Tokage said to him. Toga seems not so bad, but don't expect us to get along with her right away. Midoriya and his friends were so relieved to hear this as they relaxed their shoulders. Even Bakugo seemed a bit more quiet with this news. That's all we ever wanted, Yaoyorozu said to them. We never expected you to accept her right away. We just wanted all of you to know the truth since Himiko has been doing so much better. Mr. Aizawa thought that this was the best option for moving forward, Uraraka said to them. Class 2B seemed to understand more than they all expected. Midoriya was just glad that things went better than they expected with them around. Monoma, on the other hand, was a whole other story. Before anyone could speak up, Toga came walking out of the restroom with her clothes back on. She was finally back to normal, and Bakugo seemed a bit more relieved that it was over. Kirishima helped him up, but Bakugo could handle things for now. Oh, that was fun. Toga said to them with a smile. My quirk hasn't been as bad as it used to be. Then again, my cravings have been easier to control. I'll admit, I feel like myself more and more each day. Even though there's still a lot to go through, I'm kind of excited to see how things turn out. Midoriya couldn't help but smile, feeling something inside of him, feeling so good about this moment. Something about her eyes looked softer, like she was finally showing her true colors. Even Class 2A felt it, seeing her finally relaxing and being more herself without having to worry anymore. Class 2B even seemed more friendly with her. A bit nervous, but still smiling at her for the most part. I'm glad, Midoriya said to her with a smile. Everyone deserves a second chance. I know it was difficult for you, but I know that you can do it. Seeing you finally overcoming these obstacles makes us want to work even harder. I'll admit, I want to be stronger, so I can help more people like you and others that want to become heroes, even if things are tough. Toga felt that as Midoriya stared at her with determination in his eyes. Even his friends and classmates felt the same way as they stood tall. Me too. We want to be just as strong as you, Uraraka told her. Class 2A were finally seeing Toga as one of them. Something about that made Toga feel something as tears came up through her eyes. She tried to hide them, but she couldn't stop them from falling down her face. Damn it. Izuku, you've rubbed off on me, Toga said to him. Midoriya felt that as Class 2B got a little bit emotional for a moment. None of them cried, but they stood there and felt good about this. Toga tried to wipe her eyes, but the tears weren't going away. The sunlight coming in made the beach house feel even more comforting and full of warmth. Warmth that felt like a comforting blanket to embrace her. It felt like things were changing for the better. In the corner of the room, however, Minoma watched them all and especially Toga. Midoriya didn't even notice him as he grabbed his phone to call someone. He soon left the living room, whispering to someone on the other side of the line. Sir, we have a problem. In Yaoyorozu's beach house. Class 2A and B were finally settled down, feeling relieved. Apparently Vlad King was a bit stubborn when it came to Toga being a part of UA. But somehow Mr. Aizawa talked him through it. Even All Might had to step in and help explain things. Ms. Midoriya being there seemed to help calm him down, however, and Vlad King soon gave them a chance. He didn't know what to think about this plan of Principal Nizu's. He knew about Toga, but he didn't think that this would happen so soon. If anything, he was hoping that she would stay hidden for a while longer. But he seemed impressed that she was proving faster than they expected. For now, he let them handle things since they seemed to know what they were doing with her. Midoriya was soon in a big room with the other guys from Class 2A. He was unpacking his backpack, feeling a sense of relief. Something about setting up his space felt way more relieving than he expected. All of the guys had to share a room, which was a bit tough since there were more guys than girls in their class. Yaoyorozu had made them extra sleeping bags and blow-up mattresses just to make room for them. Shuji and Ida even made room for everyone by moving the beds in a way that gave them more room. There were 2 beds in their room, and some of them wanted to claim it right away. I want it. I call dibs. Kaminari called out. Hey, no fair. Mineta cried back. There's only 2 beds. Midoriya, your vice class representative, who do you think should claim the beds during the trip? Siro asked him. Midoriya felt that as they eyed him for an answer. He avoided eye contact with them, but they weren't letting up. His face felt red, not knowing how to handle this. I don't know. Midoriya said to them, rock, paper, scissors? Perfect. Kirishima exclaimed to them. Most of the guys went for it, but a few of them like Tokoyami, Shuji, and Koda didn't really care one way or another. Bakugo looked like he wasn't going to back down from this either, as they did rock, paper, scissors. It ended up being a close one, but Kirishima got the first bed. I won. Kirishima exclaimed to them as he put his backpack on his bed. But one more bed. Kaminari groaned out loud. Soon enough, they went at it again as they kept going at it. Ida was surprisingly quiet, letting them do this. Midoriya didn't mind sleeping on the floor, so seeing them get this excited was a bit nostalgic. Siro and Kaminari were out, making them groan. Todoroki was close to winning the bed as Bakugo eyed them. There's no way in hell I'm letting you take the last bed, icy hot, Bakugo groaned at him. Be my guest. I don't mind, Todoroki said to him. Bakugo got annoyed with him as they finally find out who won the bet. It was only between Bakugo and Todoroki. It was a tie. And then a tie again. Bakugo got annoyed as Todoroki didn't seem to mind one way or the other. That only seemed to fuel Bakugo's anger. What the hell? Why do we keep drawing a diamond tie? Bakugo cried out. Let him have it, Bakugo. We all know that you'll end up sharing the bed with Kirishima, Mineta said to him with a knowing smirk. Kirishima's eyes widened as his face turned red from embarrassment. Bakugo's heart skipped a beat as his face brightened up from that comment. Something about that thought really got through to him. Bakugo couldn't even shake it off as Midoriya felt awkward seeing them interact like this. Soon enough, Bakugo backed out of the game. Whatever. You can have it icy hot. Bakugo said to him, it's not worth it. Midoriya and the others soon set up their areas as they set up their blown-up mattresses for the night. They all had a small dresser for their things right by their mattress or sleeping bag. Midoriya then noticed that his drawer had something inside of it. It was a shell. A really nice shell that looked like a hard find on the beach. Midoriya had never seen such a beautiful shell before on this beach specifically. It must have been something that Yaoyorozu found when she was younger or something. Even if this wasn't her room, it was still her beach house. It was pink and orange that was big enough to fit in his hand. Something about it felt lighter than he expected. Like it could break in his hand if he weren't careful. What's that you've got there, Midoriya? Zero asked him. It's just a shell, Midoriya said to them as they looked at it. It must have been Yaoyorozu's when she here a long time ago. Wow. That's a good-looking shell, Kaminari said to them. Midoriya looked at it, noticing something on the shell. It had a weird shimmer to it that looked familiar. Something about it had a subtle presence to it that he noticed when he rubbed it. He felt really good about it as if it had a quality to it that he couldn't explain. The way the sunlight hit it made it shimmer like it was made out of magic. Midoriya's eyes widened, not sure what to think of this. I bet you can hear the ocean with something that big and rare, Kirishima said to them. Oh come on. It's just a diamond shell, Bakugo said to them. Midoriya soon looked at it and couldn't help but lean into it to listen. Something about it felt intriguing to listen to the ocean. Like it was calling to him. He was close to putting it by his ear when he thought he heard a subtle voice inside of the shell. He thought it was the sound of the ocean at first. But the more he leaned into it, the more he heard a voice. A young lady's voice singing that sounded so mesmerizing. Something about it sounded like something otherworldly. He couldn't unhear it or pull away for a moment. Then he felt his vision glitching in and out for a split second as if One for All woke him up. He saw the vestige world for a moment, but then some weird image came up out of nowhere. It looked like he was underwater, but someone was swimming with him, dragging him underwater as bubbles rose up to the surface. He saw a silhouette of a young lady, but didn't see her face. But he felt so at peace for a moment as the voice got through to him. The vestige world faded away as if it didn't mean anything. Like all he could think about was her voice. Midoriya? Snap out of it, Ida said to him. Midoriya's eyes widened, confused as to what just happened. Before he knew it, that caused him to drop the shell. It suddenly broke into pieces, causing Midoriya to wake up from a weird daydream of some sort. He grabbed his head as if he were under a spell or something. Midoriya, are you okay? Ida asked him. Yeah man. You were acting all weird for a moment there, Kirishima said to him. You looked like you were in a daze or something, Ojiro said to him. Midoriya felt that as he tried to shake this feeling off of him. He didn't know what to think of that shell as he remembered the voice inside of it. How weird he felt when he heard it. He felt some weird pull coming over him. As if there were magic involved. I don't know what happened. Midoriya said to them, I thought I heard a voice. I thought it was the ocean for a moment there, but it wasn't. It was some kind of voice. In the shell. The guys from Class 2A were so confused as to what Midoriya was talking about. Ida, on the other hand, seemed genuinely worried about him. The voice. Kaminari pointed out. I think he's finally lost it, Mineta said to them. No. It's not like that, Midoriya said to them. There was something weird about that shell. It felt familiar for a moment. Almost like. Midoriya trailed off as he eyed Ida for a moment, knowing what he might realize. Ida's eyes widened, knowing exactly where he was going with this. Before he could even comprehend what was going on, Mr. Aizawa came barging into their room. He soon noticed that they made a mess with the shell broken into pieces. "Clean up, put on your gym uniform, and meet us outside on the beach," Mr. Aizawa said to them. "Hero training starts now." Soon enough, Mr. Aizawa left them to it. Midoriya quickly cleaned up, upset that he broke Yaoyorozu's shell. If anything, it might have been something that she really cherished as a kid. He had to make it up to her by finding another shell somehow. Then again, he felt the need to avoid it. He tried to ignore it, knowing that hero training was more important. For now, everyone got dressed into their gym uniforms and ran outside to meet up with their teacher. Class 2A finally ran onto the beach, and Midoriya felt that nostalgic feeling finally once he stepped onto the beach. Something about finally being outside like this felt like old times. But it wasn't. Things have changed. He had friends that supported him, and he was working towards being a hero. Midoriya spotted Mr. Aizawa, Vlad King, and All Might all together on the sandy beach. It was clean and warm as they ran over to them. Ms. Midoriya and Kitsune were on the side of the beach, watching them from afar. They stood by just in case they needed their help with some medical stuff. Class 2B also ran over to them, finally ready to hero train with Class 2A. Midoriya noticed that Class 1A and B were here, but were on the other side of the beach. He tried looking for Himawari, but could only see her green hair from afar. She was busy, but had time to look over and wave at him. Midoriya felt that as his warmed up, but he quietly waved back. "All right," Vlad King said to them, "you know we all here to hero train in an unfamiliar place. Heroes need to learn to adapt to places that they are unfamiliar with. Fortunately, one of you has been here before," Mr. Aizawa said back. Midoriya felt that, hoping that Mr. Aizawa wouldn't bring this up. He felt himself shrinking as some of his friends looked at him. "Midoriya, you've adapted to the beach a long time ago," Mr. Aizawa said to him, "for 10 months to be precise. If you hadn't cleaned this beach, we wouldn't be here right now. That's what it takes to be a hero. Even helping the environment is important." "Midoriya?" Class 2B cried out in unison. "Of course he did," Monoma said under his breath. "You cleaned this beach? All by yourself?" Tetsu cried out. "That's so impressive even for you," Kendo said to him. Midoriya then looked up to see All Might in the distance. He felt bad for leaving him out of this. He still helped, even if he did most of the cleaning. All Might inspired him to be better. He's the one that pushed him to be ready. To possess the power of one for all. He wanted him to be there with him. But he noticed that All Might was giving him the okay to leave him out of it. Midoriya couldn't help but feel bad for getting upset earlier about the new apartment. For now, he just wanted to enjoy this with his friends and classmates. "Yeah. It was me," Midoriya said to them. "I felt like I needed to do something to help out back then, so I cleaned up the beach. It was so disgusting and filled with trash. I couldn't just let the beach get wasted like that. It's such a nice place to go for a run. I used to do it all the time, even before the dormitories came up. You should try it. It feels so good, especially when the sun is setting." Class 2B were so impressed, and Midoriya couldn't help but smile. Monoma, on the other hand, was annoyed as he kept his distance with him. He didn't say anything this time around as Class 2B praised him. Even Toga seemed impressed that he could pull this. "That's why we're here," Mr. Aizawa said to them. "Your first hero training is a race. You're all gonna run across the beach and back, but only one at a time from each class. But there's a catch. Class 2A and B weren't sure what to expect from this twist for their hero training. This race has only one rule. No quirks allowed," Mr. Aizawa told them. "What?" Class 2A and B all cried out in unison. Midoriya wasn't expecting this to be the twist for their hero training. He felt like he was at an advantage in some ways. He wondered if Mr. Aizawa knew that from the beginning. Some of their classmates figured out what was going on as they subtly looked at Midoriya. "Mr. Aizawa, I thought we were supposed to adapt with our quirks," Ida told him. "Wasn't the point for us to use our quirks in an unfamiliar place?" "Yes, but some of you may have been relying too much on your quirks lately," Mr. Aizawa said to them, me and Vlad King agreed that the beach would be a great place to have a race like this. None of you are allowed to use your quirks. We want to see how well you adapt without the use of your quirks. Some of you may have it easy while others might struggle. But that will give you an opportunity to see where you can improve on your quirks and how you can help without them as well. Midoriya noticed him eyeing him as if he knew that he might have an advantage. Then again, he hasn't hero trained on the beach without a quirk in a while. It might be a good time to see how far he's come. He noticed All Might giving him a genuine smile, and Midoriya knew that he could handle this. Since Class 2A has an extra classmate, we need either pull someone out of Class 2A or have Class 2B have someone run twice, Mr. Aizawa told them. Why doesn't Midoriya sit this on out? Monoma pointed out, making everyone turn. Hasn't he had enough of a spotlight already? Besides, he's been already. Isn't that kind of unfair to all of us here? Midoriya felt that as he avoided eye contact with everyone. He worried that this trip might have him be excluded from certain things. I'll run twice, Kendo said as she raised her hand up. Midoriya and Class 2A weren't expecting her to step up like this. Something about her seemed ready for the challenge, however. Alright, Itsuka Kendo will race twice against Class 2A, Vlad King said to them. Something about Kendo doing that made Monoma shut up. Midoriya could tell that something was going on with Monoma as of lately. His eyes told him that he was holding back something for some reason. I like a good challenge, Kendo said back with a smirk on her face. We're going to pick who races who. We want to see how you do up against someone from the other class. Without a quirk, Vlad King said to them, Kendo, you think that you're up for the first round. Kendo smirked as she stretched as they drew a line in the sand to show where it started. Mr. Aizawa eyed his class, and no one knew who he might pick first. Ida. Think you can run really fast without the use of your quirk? Mr. Aizawa asked him. Ida hesitated for a moment, but stood tall with determination. I'll do my best, Ida told them. Class 2A were excited to see Ida start the race off against Kendo. They both stood there as they faced the crossing line. I won't go easy on you, you know, Kendo said to him. Ida didn't hesitate and soon got ready to run as he stretched out his legs. I won't either. I'm still fast even without my quirk, Ida said to her. Soon enough, they were ready as Mr. Aizawa and Vlad King got out of the way. Ida and Kendo stood up the crossing line as they got in a position that made comfortable. Class 2A were all excited to see how Ida will do against Kendo. Without a quirk. Alright, the race is across the beach and back without the use your quirk, Mr. Aizawa told them. Ready, set, go! Vlad King said out loud. Before Ida and Kendo knew it, they were taking off down the beach. Class 2A and B were all cheering for their friend to keep running. No one let up as they kept going at it as Ida and Kendo ran for it. Midoriya could tell that Ida wasn't used to running in the sand like this. Kendo was faster than he expected as she kept going. She seemed to hold back a bit, however, as Ida caught up to her. The sand slowed him down for a moment, but he soon regained momentum. Midoriya felt for him, hoping that he could win this one. Kendo ran for it, but Midoriya noticed her easing up on him. Ida was easily running ahead of her, and Midoriya didn't know why she was doing this. Ida ran across the beach with a bit more ease once he got a footing and a good feeling with the sand. He wasn't as fast as with his quirk, but he was still going at it. Look at him go! Ashido cried out with wide eyes. Ida's pretty fast even without his quirk, Kirishima told them. Go Kendo! Kick his butt! Tetsu called out, sorry Kirishima. I've got a root for Kendo on this one. What is she doing? She's not normally this slow, Awaze said to them. Midoriya was confused too. She seemed too smart to hold back on someone like Ida. He then noticed Ida turning once he made it to the other side of the beach. Something about Ida seemed to slow down for a moment. He wasn't running as fast as he was earlier. Midoriya then noticed Kendo picking up speed as Ida slowed down. She turned around as she finally made it back over to them. Ida was struggling a little bit, but kept at a good pace. He ran back as his friends and classmates cheered for him. He kept going, but he forgot about the sand for a moment. That made him stumble, but he kept running. Kendo was finally picking up the pace as Ida started to slow a bit. Midoriya then realized that she was taking her time because of his speed. She was smart enough to know that he would beat her easily no matter what. But she held back until he tired out. Ida was finally coming up to the finish line as Kendo came running up to it. He didn't even notice her running this fast until he slowed down a bit more than he expected. Midoriya could tell that he was tempted to run with his quirk. But he didn't. Ida struggled to keep running just as Kendo finally picked up the pace. Soon enough, she crossed the finish line. Class 2B wins the first round. Midoriya knew that this was going to be a tough race for his friends. On Takoba Municipal Beach Park, Class 2A couldn't believe it. Ida lost to Kendo. In a race. Even if he couldn't use his quirk, he still should have won. He's won their fastest classmates in their class respectfully. Seeing Kendo actually beat him at his own game made them realize that they might have been losing touch for a moment. A lot has been going with them lately. Even Midoriya and those rumors kind of threw things off for a while there. Ida looked stunned that he was beat by Kendo as he caught his breath for a moment there. Class 2A was surprised that he didn't win, and Midoriya felt bad for him. But then he noticed him looking up at Kendo with eyes that looked happy for her. "Good job, Kendo. You really threw me off there for a moment," Ida said to her. "You deserve this win." "That means a lot coming from you," Kendo said to him. Midoriya watched Ida bow to her respectfully. Something about his eyes looked a bit bothered that he lost for a moment. He seemed upset about something in particular. He didn't seem to mind losing to Kendo. But he clearly was bothered by something that maybe had nothing to do with this. Even Class 2A seemed to notice his behavior as he walked over to them quietly. "Ida," Uraraka said to him. Before anyone could speak up to Ida, Mr. Aizawa announced the next classmate to go up next. "Todoroki, you're up next," Mr. Aizawa told him. "Let's see how well you can handle a race without your quirk." Class 2A all looked at Todoroki as he walked over to the crossing line. Soon enough, Vlad King picked someone else to run up against Todoroki. "Shishida, you're up," Vlad King said to him. "Show us how much you've improved without your quirk." Midoriya's reacted to that, and Todoroki and Shishida soon faced the crossing line. Soon enough they took off. Class 2A and B were all cheering for Todoroki and Shishida as they ran through the sandy beach. Midoriya noticed Todoroki having a hard time catching up to Shishida. He was fast, even without his quirk. Some of Class 2A even thought that he was cheating for a moment. But he naturally fast even without the use of his quirk. Todoroki, on the other hand, wasn't someone that was very mobile to begin with. "Come on, Shuto!" Yaoyorozu cried out. "You can do this!" Midoriya noticed Yaoyorozu calling out to him as her eyes shined from the sunlight. Todoroki seemed to pick the pace once she called out to him. Shishida noticed him coming up from behind him as they made a turn towards the finishing line. Todoroki soon picked up the pace as Shishida got a little tired from running right away. Unlike Kendo, Shishida wasn't smart enough to save his acceleration speed at the last minute. Todoroki was soon running past him as Shishida fell behind. The sandy beaches didn't help either as Todoroki soon crossed the finish line. Class 2A were so proud of Todoroki as Yaoyorozu gave him a big embrace. Todoroki wasn't expecting that as she pulled away from him. Her face was red as everyone cheered for him. "You did good, Todoroki," Siro said to him. "You actually beat Shishida at his own game," Ishido pointed out. Class 2B looked upset, but also impressed that Todoroki won without his quirk. Before they knew it, the next person was picked from Class 2B. Midoriya watched Shota and Jiraiya run off as hero training kept going. He felt good standing there on the beach with everyone. Somehow seeing all of his friends together on the beach helped him relax a bit. Hero training was working out really well and things seemed somewhat normal as Jiraiya won the next round. Shota wasn't used to running through the beach without using his quirk some kind of situation. Midoriya then noticed Jiraiya and Kaminari interacting for a moment. She seemed to be putting on a smile in front of him for some reason. He tried to kiss her, but she pulled away. Midoriya and a couple of others noticed that as she walked away from him. He hoped that things were okay with them too. She then looked at Midoriya in a way that stumped her. Her eyes looked a bit more lit up once she noticed him. Before he could speak up, Jiraiya looked away and left them alone. She eventually went over to Kitsune and Ms. Midoriya, saying to Mr. Aizawa that she didn't feel good. Midoriya hoped that she was feeling okay. Ashido and Kamakiri were up next, and Midoriya noticed her looking at him in a way that stuck out. Something about her seemed more motivated to run for it. But she seemed a bit out of it as she shook her head to focus on the race. Midoriya didn't know what to think of this as Ashido looked ahead. Soon enough, they both ran off. Midoriya was surprised at how fast they both were. Even without their quirks, they flew down the beach. Kamakiri was naturally fast while Ashido ran through with a bit of a stumble. She wasn't used to running through the sandy beach, but she somehow kept up with him. Something about them seemed to be very competitive with each other as they ran. Eventually Ashido tripped onto some sand which caused Kamakiri to win the race. Ashido didn't fall over or anything, but it caused her to lose. Class 2A could tell that she was okay with this loss as her and Kamakiri gave each other a smirk. "You were good out there," Ashido said to him. "You weren't so bad yourself," Kamakiri said back. Some of them noticed them seeming a bit closer than the other student for some reason. Or maybe that was just their competitive spirit coming out. Before they could figure out what was going on, Mr. Aizawa and Vlad King picked the next race. Aoyama and Tsunatori were up next. Once they took off, Midoriya felt the need for a run. Something about seeing everyone running made him want to go jogging even more. It felt good, knowing that this motivating everyone to do this. He noticed All Might in the distance, looking out to sea. The wind blowing his hair back reminded him of the days when it was just him and All Might together, working out and cleaning the beach by themselves. It reminded him that things were different. But seeing him like this also felt like him and All Might were still close. "Good job, Tsunatori," Awaze exclaimed, snapping Midoriya out of it. Midoriya felt the need to go talk to All Might, but they had to finish hero training first. Something about what happened back in the apartment didn't seem like a big deal anymore. He still felt weird about it, but maybe he just needed some time to get used to it. "Sorry. It's a lot harder than it looks." Aoyama said out of breath. "It's okay. You did your best," Yaoyorozu told him. "Yaoyorozu, you're up next," Mr. Aizawa said to her. "Awaze. Win this for Class 2B, Vlad King said to him. Awaze and Yaoyorozu soon walked up to the crossing line. Midoriya noticed Awaze looking a bit nervous for some reason. The way he looked at Yaoyorozu seemed a bit different than anyone else. Midoriya could have sworn that he was red in the face for a split second. Even Yaoyorozu noticed this and smiled at him. "Let's do our best, okay?" Yaoyorozu said to him. That seemed to help him relax a bit as his redness went away. Midoriya noticed Todoroki in the corner of his eye looking a bit off about this. Soon enough, they took off down the beach. Yaoyorozu ran pretty fast since she's gotten better mobility lately. Even Awaze ran pretty fast as they caught with each other. They were neck and neck as they kept passing each other over and over again. Yaoyorozu noticed it getting a bit harder to run in the sand and slowed down. That caused Awaze to keep running ahead. They turned back around as Yaoyorozu picked up the pace. Awaze soon stumbled into the same spot as Yaoyorozu almost did. Awaze didn't fall, but he did stumble enough to lose momentum. Yaoyorozu kept going as Class 2A call out for her. Awaze couldn't keep up with her or get ahead of her, and soon she crossed the finish line. "Great job, Yamamo," Ashido exclaimed to her. "It seems like we've improved a lot lately," Hagakure said to them. "It feels good," Yaoyorozu said to them. Awaze soon crossed the finish line, and Yaoyorozu could tell that he was upset that he stumbled. He soon rubbed it off, showing her that he was okay with this. Yaoyorozu and Awaze made amends, and soon Mr. Aizawa and Vlad King got ready for the next race. They picked Hagakure and Rin went up next. Once they took off, things were starting to get a bit tiring for some of them. A few of the ones that already ran the race sat down on the beach. Midoriya felt tempted to sit down, but he didn't even go yet. Something about the thought of feeling the sand underneath him felt so comforting. Even that sea smell as the wind picked up felt so good against his skin. Soon enough, Rin won as Hagakure stumbled down the beach. Class 2A was losing by 1 point. Midoriya hoped that he was up soon so he could go jogging. He didn't care if he won or not. He just wanted to feel that sea breeze against his skin and through his hair. It was something that he longed to feel ever since they got there. Soon enough, Azui and Tsuburaba were up next. Midoriya didn't know how she would even do this without her quirk since it was kind of part her body. He noticed that she looked a bit unsure of how to go about this for once. She looked a bit uncomfortable as she got ready to run. Midoriya noticed that she had trouble running like everyone else once she took off. Tsuburaba took off, but Azui was struggling because of her quirk being different from a lot of others around here. Midoriya hoped that she could somehow adapt. Unfortunately, she stumbled and caused Tsuburaba to win. Azui looked upset about the race, like she could have done better. Midoriya knew that this was bothering her as the girls went to comfort her. But something about her seemed a bit off. She smiled at them, but wanted some time to herself. Midoriya watched her walk away as she watched them race. Something about her eyes looked a bit bothered by how this went for her. Before he could talk to her, Mr. Aizawa soon picked Bakugo to go up next. Tokage was picked to go up against him. Midoriya knew that she was smart, but Bakugo was stubborn when it came to hero training. He was somewhat interested in this race once they took off. Bakugo couldn't use his quirk, so he ran a bit slower than usual. But he was still fast even against Tokage. She was pretty fast, and Bakugo had trouble in the sand for a moment. He couldn't propel himself up over it, and Tokage was catching up to him. He kept going and soon picked up the pace. As soon as they turned around, however, she ran faster than he expected. She was just as smart as Kendo as Bakugo tried to pick up the pace as well. He gritted his teeth, trying his best to at least be ahead of her. "Come on, Katsuki!" Kirishima cried out. "You've got this!" Midoriya noticed Bakugo smirking for a moment as he somehow accelerated against Tokage. She wasn't expecting this as he took off towards the finish line. He was sweating, but he pushed himself to pass the finish line right before she did. Bakugo had won just before Tokage could even cross. "That was a good race," Tokage said, out of breath. "You're fast even without your quirk." Bakugo soon smirked at her, which made Midoriya feel pretty good about this whole feud being done with. "You weren't so bad yourself either," Bakugo said back. "After a good few races, Kaibara beat Mineta pretty easily. Kaminari couldn't win against Kodai with the sand getting in the way. Ojiro won against Hananuki, who was just a hair away from winning. Komori won against Koda, who couldn't run that fast without the help from animals. Sato and Fukudashi were close, but Sato ended up winning. Shuji was faster than Kurwaro expected, causing him to win. Siro won against Yanagi even though she was pretty fast. It was tied. Midoriya was surprised at how fast Class 2B was without a quirk being used. He spotted Minoma, wondering if Mr. Aizawa might pin him up against him. He secretly wished that he didn't. Mr. Aizawa didn't know anything about what was going on with him. Midoriya was at least hoping for someone else that could handle him to go up against him. Tokoyami and Tetsu were soon running against each other, heading for the finish line. They were both doing okay in the sand, but Midoriya could tell that Tokoyami didn't like how annoying it was running through it. That gave Tetsu an advantage as he crossed the finish line. Class 2B was winning. Midoriya knew that he would have to race someone soon enough. He noticed Mr. Aizawa eyeing him, but then turned to Uraraka instead. "Uraraka, you're up next," Mr. Aizawa said to her. Uraraka was surprised, but gave Midoriya a smile. She soon went up against Shiozaki, who seemed excited for a race with her. Midoriya was at least glad to be supporting her like this. "Come on, Achiko," Midoriya said under his breath. Soon enough they took off. Class 2A's girls were cheering for Uraraka to win this for them. Shiozaki wasn't as fast as they expected, and Uraraka took off faster than Class 2B was expecting. Uraraka had improved, and she was running pretty fast without the use of her quirk. Midoriya smiled, feeling so excited for her. Seeing her running like that made him feel so good as she ran down the beach. Before he knew it, she was already running towards them as she turned the corner. Shiozaki was lagging behind as Uraraka ran for it. Midoriya was impressed with how fast she was. Her eyes were focused on her goal as Midoriya felt himself cheering for her. "Go Achiko! You can do it!" Midoriya cried out. That got through to her as she somehow picked up speed even though she was already running really fast. They were all impressed with her speed as she finally ran through the beach. The sandy beach wasn't bothering her as she kept going and soon crossed the finish line. Shiozaki wasn't even close as she soon crossed the finish line, exhausted. Uraraka was out of breath, feeling the wind against her face. Before all of the girls could cheer her on, Midoriya walked up to her with a smile. "You were amazing out there." Midoriya exclaimed to her, "I didn't know you could run like that without a quirk." "Oh, I've improved more than you think," Uraraka said to him. Midoriya couldn't help but smile at her, happy to see her improving so much. He wanted to hug her tightly, but noticed that she was out of breath. Midoriya gave her space as she soon felt the need to rest. Most of the girls were letting her settle down once Mr. Aizawa called out the next race. Midoriya noticed that he was going to possibly face Monoma in one of the races. Soon enough, Kirishima and Bando went up next. He knew that he was going to have to run the race him. He looked at Monoma, who seemed to understand this as well. Something about him seemed somewhat annoyed by this. But he also seemed quiet, as if something had happened right after that interaction with Toga. He wanted to talk to him, but he knew that it wouldn't change anything. Kirishima was fast during the race, but Bando was gaining up on him. But Kirishima soon picked up the pace once he stumbled onto the sand. The race was over, and Kirishima had won. Midoriya felt that, knowing that he was up next. But before he could even walk up to the finish line, Mr. Aizawa said someone else's name. "Toga, you're up next," Mr. Aizawa said to her. Midoriya was surprised by this, realizing that he forgot about Toga for a moment there. She didn't hesitate and soon walked up to the crossing line. He was hoping for Kendo to go against her again since she volunteered to go twice. But something told him that Vlad King wasn't going for that route. "Monoma, go for it," Vlad King said to him. Class 2A felt that, knowing exactly what happened earlier in the beach house. Midoriya then noticed something off for a moment. He spotted Azui, and she looked a bit distant with the girls. They were all cheering for Yaoyorozu, but she wasn't joining in on the fun. She looked at them as if something was bothering her. Monoma looked annoyed that he had to race against Toga of all classmates. Midoriya knew that he didn't even consider her a classmate as they faced the crossing line. Toga looked at him with suspicious eyes, but then smirked at him with a competitive look to her. "I don't go easy on you," Toga said to him. Before Monoma could even come up with a comeback, Vlad King called out for them to go. Toga took off as Monoma ran immediately after her. Midoriya couldn't help root for her to win. Monoma wasn't as fast as her, and Toga ran through the sand like it was nothing. It made it look like she was using a quirk or something. The way she ran was very stealth-like as she barely made a footprint in the sand. Midoriya and Class 2A were impressed with her footwork as she ran for it. Monoma kept going for it, but he was just lagging behind her. He couldn't keep up with her, which seemed to annoy him. Toga ran for it and was already on the other side of the beach as she turned immediately. She soon ran past Monoma, giving him a dirty glare as if to tell him something. Midoriya noticed that as Toga ran for it. Monoma soon turned around, but Toga was already halfway back to the finish line. Before everyone knew it, she was already passing the finish line. Class 2A and B were dumbfounded at how fast she was. Midoriya knew that she was fast based on moments when they faced her back then. It wasn't a quirk, it was just her skills as a villain back then. Now she on the beach with them, showing them off to Class 2A and B. She wasn't even breaking a sweat as she stood there confidently. Once Monoma crossed the finish line, he gave Toga a dirty glare back. "What was that?" Monoma cried out. "You weren't supposed to use your quirk." "I wasn't. If you haven't noticed." "I haven't even drank any blood," Toga said to him. "It's just a little something I learned back then. It's nothing special." Monoma was shocked for a moment, and Midoriya knew that something was up with him. The way Toga looked at him made Midoriya realize that she was referred to when she was part of the League of Villains. Monoma clearly didn't like this and didn't know how to dodge this moment. Luckily, Class 2A and B were all praising Toga. Even the girls were all crowding around her like she was already a part of their class. "You were amazing, Himiko," Uraraka said to her. "I knew you were fast, but you totally beat Monoma so easily," Hagakure pointed out. "You should improve easily here on the beach." Yaoyorozu said to her. Not gonna lie. That was pretty rockin', Jiraiya said to her with a smile. I'd say that was more than rockin'. Ashido exclaimed to them, you need to hero train with us more often. Midoriya was glad to see the girls bonding over this moment. But then in the corner of his eye, he noticed someone eyeing the girls. Something about it looked off as Azui kept her distance. Midoriya could see something about this start to get through to Azui for some reason. Her eyes told him that she was hurting. Something was wrong, and Azui was quiet about it. Before he could even go talk to her, Mr. Aizawa called out to him. Midoriya, you're up. Finish this race for us. On Takoba Municipal Beach Park, Midoriya felt relieved that he didn't have to race against Kendo. Even if he was worried about Azui, he needed to finish this for his class. Kendo didn't even need to be called up as she walked over to him. She was stretching, clearly knowing that she would go last after going first for their class. Midoriya felt himself getting excited as he stretched with her as well. Something about the adrenaline of being on the beach made Midoriya feel so good. He was tempted to go ahead right away before they even called out to go. He couldn't help but smile, feeling the sea breeze against his face. You seem ready, Kendo said to him. I did jog here before, you know, Midoriya said to her. I've been wanting this ever since I got here. That surprised Kendo considering she didn't know anything about this until recently. Midoriya smiled, knowing that she wasn't going to go easy on him. He didn't care about that and just wanted to run across the beach. He wanted to feel that sea breeze through his hair as he ran. It was such a feeling that he couldn't quite explain to anyone. He just loved being on the beach, jogging alongside All Might. But now he was here with his friends. That alone made him feel even better. Soon enough, Vlad King called out for them to go. Midoriya and Kendo took off as their friends and classmates cheered for them. He ran for it, remembering that he couldn't use his quirk. That worked in his favor, knowing that his quirk was acting up. If anything, it was a nice reminder of how much he missed this. Running across the beach without a quirk, training to be a hero just like All Might. It felt like old times for a moment as the sunlight beamed down onto the beach. He felt the sea breeze blow through his green hair, feeling himself relax for a moment. He didn't rush to get to the finish line, but he did pick up the pace a bit. He just wanted to enjoy this. Something about it felt so refreshing as he ran through the warm sand. Kendo ran for it, and Midoriya didn't even notice her. He felt like he was by himself for a moment just like it used to be. But he wasn't. He had friends here to support him and motivate him to be a better hero. Kendo was fast, but he somehow could run ahead of her. Her eyes were wide as she tried to pick up the pace. Hey Chow, how are you running so fast? Kendo asked him. Am I? I didn't even notice, Midoriya said back. Kendo seemed to take that as him being competitive for a moment as she chuckled at herself. She tried to pick up the pace which got him feeling a bit competitive. Midoriya was close to turning around and heading towards the finish line. But then his eyes caught a glimpse of something that almost caught him off guard. There was something by the rocks that looked a little familiar. It looked like an old shrine. But something about it looked like he knew what it was for a moment. It had a weird energy to it. It was subtle, but it was there. Before he could even put two and two together, Kendo ran past him. Midoriya had hesitated to turn and Kendo was able to take advantage of that. He took off, but looked back at the old shrine. He felt the need to go back at some point to check it out. For now, he needed to focus on the race. He ran for it, feeling the sea breeze blow through his hair. His friends were cheering for him, which was a feeling he would never get over. He felt himself gaining up to her as Kendo tried to run faster. Midoriya felt himself picking up speed, not even trying. Kendo's eyes were wide as she tried to keep going. Midoriya felt something coming over him for a moment as if the old shrine threw him off. His vision was blurring as he felt himself getting pulled away from the beach. He felt himself running towards the finish line, but his quirk was all messed up. It was as if the old shrine somehow messed with one for all. He tried to shake it off, but then heard someone cry out. That snapped him out of it as the vestige world disappeared. Midoriya whipped around to see Kendo on the ground. She was gripping onto her ankle as if she sprained it. Midoriya could tell that she fell hard as she faced her classmates and finish line. Midoriya was ahead of her somehow, but didn't look back at the finish line. He ran for Kendo and soon grabbed her arm to put around his shoulders. Kendo was surprised to see him do something like this for her. Midoriya still felt out of it, but was able to see where he was going. "You didn't have to come back for me. You would have won," Kendo said back. "I know. But you're more important right now," Midoriya said to her. That got through to Kendo as Midoriya and her finally crossed the finish line. It was a tie. Both Class 2A and B had won, which seemed unsatisfying for some of them. "But I really wanted to win." Ashido whined to them. "We really improved, but oh well," Tsunatori said to them. Soon enough, Mr. Aizawa called over Ms. Midoriya and Kitsune to look after Kendo. Midoriya set her down onto the ground, happy that Kendo wasn't hurt too bad. But her ankle seemed a bit sprained as Ms. Midoriya checked it. "It looks like you may have hurt it more than you thought," Ms. Midoriya said back to Kendo. "I'm not Recovery Girl, so I can't heal you like she can." "I'm sorry, Kendo. You might have to stay off of this until we can get a hold of Recovery Girl. Maybe she can make a trip over here just in case anyone else needs her." Kendo looked upset, and Midoriya felt bad for her. He wanted to help her out somehow, but there was nothing he could do. Class 2B even looked like they wanted to help her and didn't like where this was going. Kendo brushed it off like it was nothing as Ms. Midoriya tried to wrap up her ankle. "Guys, don't worry about it," Kendo said to them. "This is nothing. I'm sure I'll feel better by tomorrow." "Yeah, but what if you can't walk or hero train with us during the trip?" Awaze pointed out. "Like I said, you'll be fine without me around for a while. Besides, it'll be a great time to relax for a bit," Kendo said to them. Midoriya felt bad for her, but she seemed fine with how things are going. Even Class 2A felt bad for Kendo as Midoriya sat there with her. She then looked at him, who was still worrying about her with those green eyes. "Midoriya, you don't have to worry about me either," Kendo said to him. "I can take care of myself." When she went to stand up, however, she winced and fell back down to the ground. Midoriya felt for her as she squinted from the pain. Before he knew it, he grabbed her arm and pulled her up over his shoulder. Kendo's eyes widened, and Midoriya didn't hesitate to help her as Class 2B moved out of the way. "Really, Midoriya? You don't need to do this," Kendo said to him. "Of course I do. You're my friend, and you're hurt," Midoriya said back. "I don't care if you're from Class 2B or not. I'm still going to help." Kendo and Class 2B looked like at him in a way that made them realize how different things were now. Midoriya was helping them out even if they had a weird history together. Midoriya didn't back down as Yaoyorozu set up a towel nearby. He soon set her down onto the towel as she propped her leg onto another one. Kendo looked like she could finally relax as everyone felt it too. The race was over, and they soon looked out at the beach's view. Something about it was so breathtaking, and none of them could look away. Even Midoriya was taken aback by how stunning this beach was. If he never cleaned it up, he would have never been here with his friends and classmates. He couldn't imagine how different things would have been if him and All Might never met. Or even Hero trained on the beach. He spotted All Might in the distance, looking out at the ocean's view. His blonde hair blew in the wind as his eyes locked onto the stunning view. Midoriya felt like he was relaxed and one with the ocean for a moment. Something about it felt like he could finally talk to him. Just seeing him here made things come back into perspective. All Might had always been there for him, even if he didn't realize it sometimes. And Midoriya never regretted it. Not once. Something about that made him realize that All Might and him have been through enough, especially him. All Might deserved a break from all of this. A place to get away from hero work and just relax. Midoriya wanted that for him as he smiled subtly at him. Before he could even talk to All Might, he was interrupted by the sound of someone's voice calling out his name. Midoriya instantly knew who it was as they threw themselves at him, hugging him really tight. "Izuku!" Himawari cried out with a laugh. That hug caused him to fall to the ground, getting covered in sand. Midoriya was on the ground, almost seeing stars from that impact. Himawari let out a laugh, seeing him all out of sorts. Class 2A and B ran over to check on them, looking concerned. "Hi, Himawari?" Midoriya said out loud. "Midoriya, are you okay?" Ida asked him. Midoriya tried to get up, but Himawari was hugging him so hard that he couldn't breathe. "Himawari, Please let go. I can't breathe, Midoriya said to her. Soon enough, she let go of him with wide eyes that sparkled in the sunlight. Oh, sorry. My bad. I just got really excited about this trip, and I needed to see you. Himawari cried out. Himawari soon helped him up as Midoriya felt the need to stretch his neck from the hug and fall. He felt out of it for a moment, but then Himawari grabbed his hand to get his attention. She looked at him with so much excitement that she could rival Ishido's in a heartbeat. I'm just so excited to be on this beach with you. Himawari cried out. You and me together on a beach like this? When do we ever get to do anything like this? Midoriya felt the same way, but clearly she was more excited about it than he was. She was just always like this as of recently. Himawari used to be so shy and awkward that it was hard for Midoriya to imagine her being like this nowadays. He was glad that she was much more outgoing and had friends to talk to. Then he thought about Nami for a moment, wondering how things were going with her. Oh, by the way, how is Nami? Midoriya asked her. Have you talked to her at all on the phone? Class 2A noticed him asking her this, and Midoriya felt them staring at him like he should just leave it alone. He couldn't help it since Himawari was so friendly with pretty much everyone. He wanted to get to know her more, and he didn't see anything wrong with that. Then he noticed Himawari looking away as she twirled her hair. She was doing it again, which definitely meant something to her. He didn't remember her ever doing anything like that around her friends. Something about Nami got her doing something like this for some reason. No. She must be busy, Himawari said to her. Midoriya could tell that she was worried about her. Then Class 2A and B came over to them to see how things were going. Midoriya then noticed that Class 2B never properly got introduced to Himawari. He smiled at her as he faced them with wide eyes. Why don't you meet everyone in Class 2B? I'm sure you'd love to make new friends, Midoriya said to her. You guys have never been introduced properly to her, but this is Himawari. My sister. Yeah. I've heard of you, Tsunatori said to her. You're the one who fought that new girl, Nami Uchiyumi, during the sports festival. I heard that your fight with her was amazing. Really? I wish I could have seen it, Tetsu said to them really loudly. Midoriya noticed Himawari hesitate to talk about that fight. He never actually talked to her about how it went. Something about Himawari seemed a bit upset that Nami couldn't be here with them. Himawari, Midoriya said to her. She snapped out of it, and Himawari was soon lit up as she faced Class 2B. Wait. The fight between me and Nami was amazing, Himawari said back. She was so tough and yet so vulnerable at the same time. Whatever she went through on this beach, she clearly took it to heart. Nami didn't give up and we just kept going at it. She may have worked hard too, but I couldn't just give up either. Not when Izuku was cheering me on. Midoriya felt that as everyone in Class 2A and B were so interested in what Himawari had to say. Wow. You and Nami having elemental quirks is pretty awesome. I wish I saw that fight, Ishido pointed out. Yeah. Fire and water clashing like that must have been something to watch. I bet it was just as good as Midoriya and Todoroki's fight last year, Kirishima said to them. Midoriya felt that as some of them eyed him and Todoroki for a moment. Something about it made him realize that Nami was just as strong as him. He forgot that Nami even had a quirk that's strong and flashy. He felt a blush form across his face, remembering how that fight went. Yeah. But I don't have an element quirk, Midoriya told them, at least. Not like Himawari or Nami. You two still had one of the best fights ever at the sports festival, Kendo said to him on the towel. I didn't think anyone could top that fight. Looks like you have competition here, Midoriya, Kaminari said to him. Midoriya looked back at Himawari as she grinned from ear to ear as she adjusted her glasses. He couldn't help but smile, happy to see her enjoying this trip. He even reconsidered Nami, being a bit suspicious for a moment. But then something caught his attention by the ocean. His eyes wandered off towards the sea, noticing something or someone swimming rather fast. They were really going at it as if they were training for something. Midoriya didn't know what to think of this as they kept going at it with such fluid motion. Something about their strokes and the way they swam through the water was as if they were a part of the ocean. Whoever they were determined to swim and train as much as possible. Class 2A and B noticed him staring at the ocean, and then soon turned to the person was swimming. They were shocked to see how fast they were swimming as the waves kept coming at them. They were somehow able to dodge them or swim as if they parted the waves. Whoa! Who is that? Hagakure exclaimed to them. I don't know. But they're really going at it, Tokage said to them. Midoriya got a closer look at them, noticing something off about them. She looked familiar as she swam through the waves and came up for air. His eyes widened as her blue hair came up from the water as her eyes shined from the sunlight hitting against them. He instantly recognized her, and so did Himawari the moment she saw her in the distance. And Nami? Himawari cried out. Midoriya and Himawari stood there, dumbfounded to see Nami coming out of the water. She didn't even notice them as she swam towards a corner of the beach that was more private. Something about her seemed really into what she was doing. The problem was that she wasn't supposed to be here. She lied to Himawari about her family emergency and came here to train. Midoriya looked at Himawari, noticing her disappointment in her eyes. Something about that hurt her. But Himawari seemed more shocked than hurt as Nami walked away from the ocean. That's Nami. Class 2A and B cried out in unison. I thought you said she couldn't come to the trip, Uraraka said to her. Apparently she lied just to train by herself, Monoma said to them. Typical Class 1A move. They think they can just do whatever they want without any consequences. Monoma. Kendo said back with a groan, leave it alone. Midoriya then looked at Himawari, not knowing what to think of this. He eyed Nami, noticing her swimming towards a boat in the ocean. There was someone on there to help her out. Midoriya couldn't see the lady, but knew that it was an older woman. She looked like someone who lived on the beach. Her hair was even looking a bit wet as if she had been in swimming for a long time. Who's that, Himawari? Nami's mom or something? Ashido asked her. Himawari looked at her, trying to make sense of it all. Midoriya felt for her, confused as to why Nami lied. He wanted to get to the bottom of this, but didn't want to make things complicated. They couldn't see her as the sunlight shined down on them, blinding them. I don't know. Himawari said back. I've never seen her before. Maybe she's her coach or someone she trains with. Midoriya felt bad for her, but Nami didn't even seem to notice them all looking at her. She didn't seem to know they were here as she talked to her coach or mom. Something about them seemed rather quiet and kept to themselves. Midoriya wanted to know more about Nami now more than ever. Before he could even do anything, Himawari took off towards the ocean. Something about that moment reminded him of the dreams he had recently. He had forgotten all about those dreams. Himawari dragging Nami under the ocean for some reason. He wondered if he those dreams for a reason as she tried to grab her wrist. Himawari! Wait! Midoriya cried out to her as he did so. Let me go, Izuku! Himawari cried back. I need to talk to her. By what? Swimming all the way out to sea. Midoriya cried back. I need to talk to her. Himawari cried out as she tried to pull away from him. Midoriya held on to her, but she almost got away. Before she could run off again, he grabbed onto her as if he were hugging her to hold her back. Izuku! Go! Himawari growled out, I need to see her. I need answers. Midoriya felt that, knowing that she somehow cared about Nami. She was friends, but Himawari needed more answers from someone who was lying to her. But he couldn't let her go, not when he had a dream about this happening. His grip tightened as Class 2A and B ran over to them. Midoriya! Himawari! What is going on? Ida asked them. Himawari was trying to fight out of Midoriya's grip, but she soon stopped. She caused both of them to collapse onto the ground. Midoriya felt that he got a bit dizzy from what just happened. For a moment, he felt himself getting pulled back again. He saw the vestige world as one for all acted out again. Midoriya needed to stay there with Himawari as he wrapped his arms around her. That somehow helped him come back to her as he helped her through this. He needed to heal one for all. But Himawari came first. Himawari! Midoriya said back, I need you to stay here. We'll figure this out together. I promise. Himawari felt that as Midoriya held her close. He couldn't let her run off like that towards Nami. Not when he could help through this. He felt himself shaking like he was nervous he might lose her. She seemed to notice him shaking and looked at him with apologetic eyes. Izuku, Himawari said under her breath. Soon enough, Himawari looked up to see Nami on the boat. She was off doing her own thing as if she were in her own little world. Something about it didn't seem right to Midoriya. Like she was hiding something from Himawari and everyone else. Then he notices Azui looking a bit down about something. Everyone gets ready to have fun on the beach. Uraraka and Midoriya go for a walk together and they find a nice shell. Midoriya soon goes on his own and finds out that there's a shrine on the edge of the beach. All of the girls are having fun, but Jair has a moment with either Midoriya or Kaminari. In Takoba Municipal Beach Park. Class 2A and B were finally done with hero training, which meant they could finally have some fun on the beach. All of the girls got ready by putting on their favorite bikinis or bathing suits. All of the guys got ready as well as they grabbed some fun activities to play with. Even Ida helped with setting up some things that Yaoyorozu had in her beach house. She had a volleyball net along with a beach ball for playing on the sand. A lot of them were up for it as others got ready to chill on the warm sand with some towels. Even Yaoyorozu and Sato grabbed the grill to make some lunch that Mr. Aizawa told them to do themselves. If you want to have some fun, then you need to make your own lunch, Mr. Aizawa said to them. Do what you think is best for everyone. But at least be activate. The volleyball net was a good start. But you are here to hero train. Don't forget that. That goes for all of you as well, Vlad King said to his class. Yes, sir. Class 2A and B cried out in unison. Midoriya soon ran into his room along with the guys. He grabbed a bathing suit along with a shirt and towel. Once he grabbed the sunscreen, he remembered the shell that he broke by accident. He didn't mean to, but he wondered if he should make it up to Yaoyorozu. Soon enough, he got dressed and headed outside to find Uraraka there as well. Hey Izuku, Uraraka said to him with a smile, isn't it so nice out? Midoriya was stumped the moment he spotted Uraraka. In a bikini. She wore a bikini dress that barely covered her up since it was made for the beach. He couldn't help but feel overheated the moment he saw her. His face was bright red from how cute she looked in her bikini. He instinctively looked away, but Uraraka walked over to see him avoiding eye contact with her. Izuku? What's wrong? Uraraka asked him. It's nothing. Midoriya said back, just really hot is all. Uraraka seemed to notice him stopping himself from looking at her outfit. Midoriya noticed her putting 2 and 2 together, which made her turn red for a moment. But then she smiled at him like she understood where he was coming from. Uraraka leaned in closer as if she felt something for him. Izuku, you care enough to look away, Uraraka said to him. That's sweet, but you don't need to do that. We're together now. I don't mind. Midoriya felt weird, however, knowing how someone like Mineta is. Why you don't mind? Midoriya pointed out with a red face. Isn't it kind of awkward for you? Not with you, Uraraka said back. I trust you. Midoriya felt that as he forced himself to look at her. He still felt weird as his face brightened red so much that he was practically smoking. Uraraka couldn't help but smile at him as she giggled from his embarrassment. She soon grabbed his hand, feeling a little less hot for a moment. Come on. I set up a spot for us under an umbrella, Uraraka said to him. You can cool down there. Midoriya felt that as she dragged him over to their spot. Okay. Midoriya said to her under his breath. Uraraka and Midoriya soon came across their towels and an umbrella. He was surprised to see how nice it looked. The umbrella had a nice shaded area so they wouldn't burn up so quickly. They had towels laid down onto the sand, feeling more comfortable on the ground. She even grabbed a cooler for them both as if this were on a date. Midoriya couldn't help but feel relaxed just looking at it. He really liked that Uraraka put so much effort into this setup. He sat down and gave her a kiss on the cheek without thinking about it. This is nice. Midoriya said back. You did this all by yourself? Yeah, but Ashido helped with the cooler and drinks, Uraraka said to him. She was persistent on helping us, so I let her for once. Midoriya felt better, knowing that Ashido wasn't even bothering them. He looked around for a moment, wondering where she was. "Where is Ashido anyway?" Midoriya asked her. "I don't know. She might be talking to the girls from class 2B or something. She seems to really like hanging out with them," Uraraka said to him. Midoriya did notice Ashido getting pretty close with them. Kamakiri in particular. He didn't question it, however, knowing that she was a bit much sometimes. Once he settled down with Uraraka, he felt so much more comfortable with her. He didn't even think about her wearing a bikini as she leaned onto him with a smile on her face. "I'm glad we're here," Uraraka said to him under her breath. "I missed this." Midoriya leaned into her embrace, feeling so warm from the heat. The shade felt so good as the wind picked up. The sea breeze almost made him relax into her more than he expected. "Me too," Midoriya said back. It was quiet for a moment. All they could hear were their friends having fun and the waves crashing down onto the shore. Something about it was more relaxing than they expected. Even Toga was behaving for the most part and joining in on the fun. Midoriya looked up to see her talking with the girls. Something about seeing her with them, especially class 2B, gave him a feeling that he made him worry less. He was relieved to see her getting along with them. Monoma was staying clear of her, but he didn't seem to be causing any trouble. Midoriya didn't know if that was a good thing or not. "Looks like Himiko is having fun," Uraraka told him. She soon grabbed a drink and opened it to take a sip. Midoriya kept an eye on her, knowing that Toga was doing really well for the first day. "Yeah. She seems to like the girls from class 2B. I thought they would have a hard time at first," Midoriya said to her, "but I guess I was worried about nothing." Uraraka seemed to notice him eyeing Monoma as if he wasn't over him. Midoriya looked over at her and noticed as he avoided eye contact. He even grabbed a drink out of the cooler just to avoid this conversation. "It looks like you're not worried about nothing," Uraraka said to him. "I'm sure Monoma will keep his distance. Just keep an eye on him. I bet Yaoyorozu and the girls will make sure Monoma don't cause any trouble." Midoriya felt that, knowing that she was right. He took a sip of his drink, hoping that things will work out during this beach trip. "Maybe you're right," Midoriya said to her under his breath. Then he noticed Yaoyorozu and the girls having a good time making lunch and having a drink together. Something about them seemed happier than usual, which was relieving. Even the guys seemed pumped up to play volleyball. Even Bakugo was ditching cooking to play with Kirishima, which was shocking to say the least. "Hey Midoriya, come play with us," Kirishima called out. "We need one more guy to play." Midoriya was exhausted already just from the ride and hero training alone. He didn't know if he could play volleyball right now, especially with One for All acting up. He got nervous once he thought about One for All. He never even thought about telling Uraraka about it acting out or anything. "And maybe next time. I'm too tired to even jump around at the moment," Midoriya said to them. "Tired? You barely did anything for hero training today," Kaminari said to him. "Come on dude. We need one more guy to play with us." Midoriya noticed Uraraka looking at him funny as if she were confused as to why he was avoiding volleyball. Without thinking, he grabbed her hand as if he wanted to do something else with her. "Me and Achiko are going for a walk actually. You guys play without us for now," Midoriya said back. Uraraka looked a bit red in the face as they got up to leave. "Leave them alone. They never get to do anything like this," Ashido said to them. "You guys go. Lunch will be ready when you come back," Yaoyorozu said back. Midoriya was grateful to Yaoyorozu that he was definitely going to look for a new shell for her. He knew Uraraka wouldn't mind helping him look for one along the way. Once they left to walk, Midoriya noticed someone looking a bit less happier than everyone else. All of the girls were smiling except for Azui. She was a bit more distant and eyeing the girls. Something about her seemed upset about something. Midoriya didn't know what, but he knew that she seemed lonely. He soon noticed that no one had been really talking to her for a while. Everyone had been doing other things and Azui's been kind of distant. His eyes were full of worry, hoping that she was okay. Midoriya and Uraraka soon went for a walk, and he hoped that she would feel better soon enough. They both went on a walk, and Uraraka held his hand as she leaned into him. She smiled, and Midoriya felt herself melt into his warmth. He really missed this. Being alone with her. Having nothing but a beautiful view to look at with her. feeling that relaxing sensation around her and nothing else. As if they were the only ones on the beach. "I'm glad we're here together," Uraraka said to him, "you know, like this. So we can enjoy this much more." Midoriya understood and felt himself warm up from her touch. He didn't move away as they walked together. He couldn't help but smile as she tightened her grip around his. "I am too. It's weird being here with everyone from UA," Midoriya said to her. "It was just me and All Might for a long time. We spent hours, weeks and months here, training to be a part of not just UA, but to be a hero. This place isn't just a beach to me. It was my first steps towards being a hero. And now, I'm here with you and I feel like things have changed so much." Uraraka stopped walking for a moment and looked up at him. Her eyes looked so stunning by the sunlight as he stared back at her. "Izuku, I had no idea that you felt this way," Uraraka said to him. "This beach. It seems like you and All Might's special place. Are you sure that you're okay with this trip?" Midoriya looked out at the sea view, remembering how amazing it felt to face All Might on that day. The day he handed him One for All. How good it felt to be one step closer to being a hero. To finally facing his dreams. He just never realized that he would ever get here with so many amazing friends or even have a girlfriend. Something about it felt overwhelming with a lot of emotions as tears came up. Uraraka looked worried, but he tried to wipe them before they fell. "I'm all right. I'm just so grateful," Midoriya said through tears. "But I'm happy that we're here. It's just a good reminder that I've made so much progress. Even you and everyone in our class have done amazing. I'm glad you're here. With me." Uraraka felt that his tears formed under her eyes. She couldn't help but hug him as he wrapped her arms around her tightly. For a moment, they stood there. They didn't move and felt each other's warm embrace. Uraraka and Midoriya didn't dare move, feeling the sea breeze all around them. "I'm glad that I caught you before you fell," Uraraka said under her breath. "If I hadn't, we would have never met." Midoriya felt that, realizing that she might have been right. If she never showed up when she did, he might have never gotten up the nerve to go save her or even try to talk to her. Although, he would never leave someone behind no matter what. Still, he couldn't imagine his life without her. Something about that made his heart skip a beat. He soon lifted his head to meet up with her gaze. For a moment, they stared into each other's eyes. They blushed but didn't pull away. "Achiko, I would have saved you either way. Even if we didn't know each other," Midoriya said to her. That caught her attention, and she kissed him on the lips. Midoriya felt that, but she separated from him before he could even wrap his arms around her. Something about that made him blush even more from embarrassment. "Akachiko, where are you going?" Midoriya asked her as she walked off. "Come on. Let's go for our walk," Uraraka said to him. "We don't want to keep our lunch cold." Midoriya noticed her smiling through her blemish, causing him to smile back. He ran over to her, and Uraraka booked it as she ran across the water. Midoriya took off to try to catch up to her. She was laughing as she ran, and Midoriya only ran faster as they took off through the water. Midoriya felt good as she ran and looked back to see him chasing her. She was smiling so beautifully, and something about it felt like things were working out for him and Uraraka. They could finally have some fun together as they ran through the beach together. "Looks like I can outrun you," Uraraka exclaimed to him. Midoriya felt that as he picked up the pace and went for it. Before he knew it, he grabbed her, which caused her to laugh out loud. He picked her up as they stood in the ocean with the waves coming for their ankles. Soon enough, the waves went up to their shins as a wave came over to them. Uraraka was laughing so hard, making him smile as he held her close and spun her around. "I caught you now. What are you going to do about it?" Midoriya pointed out. Uraraka was still laughing but didn't seem to mind this. Midoriya felt a bit warm as she looked at him with those stunning eyes. Before he knew it, she had turned around to wrap her around him to face him. She even had her legs wrapped around him as his eyes widened with a red face staring back at her. He felt so comfortable with her, however, as he felt himself naturally holding her close. He couldn't help but feel the need to be closer to her. "Achiko." Midoriya said under his breath. I know. Uraraka said back under her breath, I feel the same way. Midoriya felt himself leaning in to kiss her. Something about it, however, felt different. Like he felt himself needing to hold back. He didn't know why, as his face turned even redder than before. Uraraka went for it, but he pulled away. That seemed to bother her, but she snapped out of it. She realized what she was doing and unwrapped herself around him. Midoriya avoided eye contact for a moment, but could see Uraraka looking away with a red face. Sorry. Uraraka said to him, I don't know what came over me. I couldn't help it. Midoriya felt that and looked at her with concern in her eyes. He felt something similar to that effect. But he didn't want to hurt her for some reason. He knows that he never would. But something about being here brought up a different kind of feeling. A feeling that made him want more, which made him turn bright red that he was practically smoking. He held back, Midoriya said back. I didn't mean to grab you like that. I just sort of happened. For a moment, it was quiet. Midoriya didn't know what to do. Even Uraraka felt the same way as they avoided eye contact. Then something caught Midoriya's eye that made him change the subject. It was a nice-looking shell which helped him focus on something else. He shook it off, trying to keep his mind off of something else for a while. Look, Midoriya said to her as he picked it up. There's some pretty nice shells around here. Why don't we look for some? Uraraka nodded, seemingly trying to take her mind off of what just happened. Sure. Uraraka said a little too loudly. Midoriya noticed her looking a bit uncomfortable for a moment as she looked around for a shell. He felt bad for the way things are going, but hoped that looking for shells will make things feel better. Midoriya soon a couple of shells, but noticed that none of them looked like the one from Yaoyorozu's house. Something about that one was different and maybe even rare. That made him feel even worse for breaking it. He had to make it up somehow as he looked around for a good shell. He found some good ones, but nothing that stood out. The shell he broke was pink and orange and was able to fit in his hand really well. But something about it felt a bit odd. He could barely remember what happened, but he could have sworn that he heard something in the shell. But couldn't remember what it was exactly. Like it was a distant dream or something. What about this one? Midoriya snapped out of it as he looked up to see Uraraka holding a shell. It was a pretty big shell, but something about it felt like the same old shells. It was a good one nonetheless, but noticed how many they were taking. Midoriya realized that they should probably leave some alone for the hermit crabs and any sea creatures in them. Maybe we should limit how many we take. For the crabs, Midoriya said to her. Uraraka knew that he was right and put it down. You're right. Let's keep going, Uraraka said to him. Midoriya then noticed that they were close to the edge of the beach. The place where he noticed something familiar over there during the race. That made him look up to notice it even more. He spotted it in the distance as Uraraka looked around for shells. Something about it looked so familiar as they got closer to it. Then he realized why it was so familiar and had a weird sensation coming out of it. Izuku, Uraraka said to him, snapping him out of it. He still couldn't help but stare at it, causing Uraraka to look over at it. Izuku? What are you? Uraraka stopped in her place, freezing up when she saw it. He noticed her hands shaking as she held a couple of shells. Her eyes were even wider than before. That confirmed it for him that this wasn't just any regular shrine here at Takoba Municipal Beach Park. The shrine. Meiho no Kuni? Uraraka said out loud. How is it here? Before Midoriya could even form a sentence, something washed up onto shore. In the corner of his eye, Midoriya noticed a blue and green shell float towards him. He had a feeling that it was rare the moment he spotted it. Something about finding the shrine and a rare shell wasn't a coincidence. It was magic.